Upon uttering those words, Lin Zaiasu felt her image was flipped yet again. The playful and slightly willful temperament in her eyes diluted the image of a solitary and elegant orchid. At that moment, Lin Zaiasu's phone rang. After answering, she heard Miao Rulan's voice. "Little Sue, come back quickly." There was a tinge of nervousness in her voice. Lin Zaiasu's heart skipped a beat as she got up. "I have something to take care of. I must go now. We'll talk more next time." The woman with the scroll seemed to want to tell her that she had forgotten to take her painting, but Lin Zaiasu had already left the library, because she had a premonition that something was about to happen. Rulan practiced ancient martial arts. She was usually calm and steady, not one to easily get anxious. Crossing the street, she arrived at the detective agency, and as soon as Lin Zaiasu walked in, she felt a peculiar atmosphere. Two uniformed individuals were sitting on the couch. The one on the left was about 40 years old, while the one on the right was in his 20s or 30s. Perhaps there's an inherent aura around uniformed personnel. Miao Rulan, standing by the table, looked a bit tense. Upon seeing Lin Zaiasu, Miao Rulan quickly approached. They are from the City Security Bureau. City Security Bureau, formerly known as the Market Security Administration. An all-encompassing department, responsible for all aspects of market regulation. They oversee everything from product quality to store operations. Any business with open doors cannot escape their supervision. "Are you Lin Zaiasu, the person in charge of the detective agency?" The one on the left casually asked with his leg crossed. "Yes," Lin Zaiasu replied. "Little Song, show him the credentials," the middle-aged man said. The younger one pulled out his ID and handed it to Lin Zaiasu. Just the act of presenting an ID carried the authority of official business and conveyed the dignity of law enforcement, and it was this very action that made Miao Rulan very nervous. Lin Zaiasu glanced over the ID without any expression. "Seen it. Now tell me what's the matter." "Any business must have a clearly marked price list. Where is your rate card?" The middle-aged man looked around, but obviously there was no price list on the walls. Lin Zaiasu shook her head lightly. "We don't have a price list." "Little Song, take photos as evidence." Little Song took out a camera and began to take pictures of all four walls. Meanwhile, the law enforcement recorder in front of the middle-aged man was flashing, indicating it was also working in sync. Lin Zaiasu's earlier response had been recorded as evidence. Little Song checked their ledger. Little Song approached Miao Rulan. "Bring out the ledger." Miao Rulan's heart trembled. Even she found the ledger shocking. Were they really going through it? The middle-aged man's gaze turned towards her, authoritative and icy. "Let me remind you, any resistance to law enforcement will lead to severe consequences. Bring it out." His last three words suddenly escalated in volume. A few passers-by on the street stopped and looked at one another, puzzled. Miao Rulan saw the neighbors outside, and her anxiety intensified as she turned her helpless gaze towards Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu said, "Give it to him." Miao Rulan opened the drawer and took out the ledger. As the ledger was opened, Little Song's eyes suddenly lit up. "Captain Joe, take a look." He handed the ledger to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man scrutinized it, and his expression turned even more authoritative. "Charging 30,000 for an hour of searching for a dog, back and forth, investigating an affair, from filing the case to closing it in just one day, charging 100,000. No wonder you wouldn't dare to put that rate card on the wall." The number of onlookers on the street grew, and everyone exchanged glances, talking among themselves upon hearing this. Indeed, such pricing was a shock to the nerves of average people. In a small place like Fengcheng, where finding a job that pays 3,000 a month is difficult, there are those earning 100,000 in a single day. The middle-aged man's gaze swept around. "Such illegal operations cannot be tolerated. Little Song, issue the maximum penalty." "Leader," Miao Rulan was desperate. "We operate legally. We have a business license. She was truly anxious. Although she was skilled in ancient martial arts and had a steady temperament, capable of defeating even the most vicious of criminals with a split of her Chong Sam and a swift kick, that was against bad people. Could she resort to force against a legitimate law enforcement agency? Thus, she pleaded with an attitude of humility she had never shown before. However, the two officers were unyielding, slapping a ticket down on the table. The bright red stamp on top listed a fine of 1.3 million yuan. Miao Rulan's legs trembled. "Leader, Our shop has only been open for less than a month. We've only made less than 18,000 in total. How can we bear a fine of 1.3 million? When the amount was announced, the bystanders outside were also stunned. 1 million in fines, and more than just 1 million, heavens, who has ever seen such a heavy penalty? This couple had just started their business, and such a hefty fine would surely ruin them. Miao Rulan was truly devastated. 1.3 million. It wasn't just the newly opened small store that couldn't afford it. Even if they were to sell everything behind both Lin Ziasu and herself, it still wouldn't be enough. Even selling the rural courtyard wouldn't cover it. Done for, their budding enterprise was utterly ruined. Illegal operators, confiscation of illegal gains, and a fine of 3 to 10 times the amount are all clearly recorded in the law. Captain Joe said coldly, "Sign it." Miao Rulan desperately shook her head. "You can't do this. We haven't done anything illegal, Will you sign or not?" Captain Joe interrupted, casting a commanding gaze toward Lin Ziasu. Everyone's eyes were on Lin Ziasu. It wasn't until this moment that everyone noticed something off about this person in charge. Such a major incident had occurred at the store, yet he remained indifferent, sipping tea, listlessly watching the street outside the door, letting law enforcement inspect the accounts and issue fines without protest. It wasn't until Captain Joe directly addressed him that he gently shook his head. "No need to sign," Captain Joe said. "We just need to record on the enforcement recorder that we have delivered the notice. Little song, let's go." The fine notice, stamped with a bright red official seal, was slapped down in front of Miao Rulan. The two law enforcement officers turned and left. The wind they brought with them picked up the thin, fine notice, but it was enough to break the psychological dam inside Miao Rulan. She had never experienced anything like this before. She couldn't remain indifferent to it. This little shop mattered greatly to her. Here she had found the value of her life. Here she had dreams at night and passion during the day. How many times had she made beautiful wishes for herself by the window, gazing at the distant Huashi Bridge? But now, as the $1 million fine notice lay in front of her, all of that had shattered. They could no longer keep the shop running. Her dream hadn't even properly begun before it came to an abrupt halt. This is how unpredictable life can be. People outside the shop were also discussing fervently. Some said that this kind of profiteering industry should be dealt with harshly, making years' worth of money in a month, and without enforcement, it would be intolerable. Others felt a touch of sadness in their hearts, quietly affected by Miao Rulan's complete despair. Captain Joe and Little Song swept their gaze over the crowd, feeling a touch of pride inside. Being someone who dictates the fates of others does come with its thrills. Just as they were about to step out of the detective agency, a voice rose softly. "Wait a moment." It was Lin Ziasu's voice. He finally spoke up. This meant the first time he had truly spoken since the two had entered the shop, previous pleasantries excluded. Captain Joe and Little Song stopped, but didn't even bother to turn around. Lin Ziasu said, "I can't be bothered to explain the relevant national laws to you, because you would likely choose not to understand them anyway." Captain Joe turned around suddenly. Lin Ziasu raised his teacup to him. "Go back and tell the person behind you his troubles are coming." As these words were spoken, everyone inside and outside the shop was shocked. Captain Joe's face turned grim. "Are you threatening a law enforcement officer?" "It's not a threat, just a piece of advice," Lin Ziasu said. "I know my existence makes many lowlifes tremble with fear, and they would go to any lengths to get me out of Fengcheng. But those scumbags who act as dogs for criminals, acting as the blade to eliminate me, will have to endure my wrath. Daring to openly defy the law, daring to slander law enforcement, Lin Ziasu, you have closed the door to negotiating the fine yourself. I can responsibly tell you that you won't get away with a penny less than the 1.3 million fine." Captain Joe's voice was deep and forceful. Miao Rulan's face turned deathly pale. The other merchants nearby were also terrified. Fines, something every business person has dealt with a few times. Receiving a fine if you show a good attitude, take the initiative to visit and admit fault, beg for mercy, or secretly deliver something to the key person, it's possible to get a significant reduction. A 1.3 million fine might in the end be settled for 100,000 or even tens of thousands. It's not impossible. But who does it like you do? Just as Captain Joe said, you have shut the door to negotiation yourself. Lin Ziasu stood up, Ryulan, give me the electric scooter keys. Where are you going? Miao Ryulan handed him the keys. Lin Zaiasu pointed directly at Captain Joe's face. Deal with him. This finger, everyone saw it clearly, including Captain Joe himself. His face turned a deep shade of blue. Lin Zaiasu passed by him, mounted the electric scooter, and disappeared into the traffic of Fengcheng. Captain Joe and Little Song left. The onlookers outside dispersed. Miao Ryulan hurriedly picked up her phone to make a call. Half an hour later, Zhou Mei rushed over in a hurry. After listening to Miao Ryulan's nearly crying account, Zhou Mei also looked at their account books and gently shook her head. Her shake made Miao Ryulan's heart nearly fly away. Zhou Mei sighed. I said that if you guys mess around like this, sooner or later there would be trouble. Offering one service for 30,000, settling an affair for someone's marriage. I even asked him how much he charged and he wouldn't say. I knew it wasn't a small amount. Who would have thought that you directly jumped over the 100,000 mark? I mean, can't you focus on small profits but quick turnover, make the business long-term? Is doing this kind of one-shot deal really a good idea? Now is not the time to discuss the business model, just tell me. What do we do? Miao Ryulan was anxious. In fact, her opinion was the same as Zhou Mei's. She also thought charging too much wasn't good, but since Lin Zaiasu insisted on doing this, what could she do? In front of outsiders, she couldn't badmouth Lin Zaiasu. She could only face the consequences. What do we do? The City Security Bureau enforcing the law is official enforcement. We can't just hard resist it. I have a friend at the City Security Bureau. I'll give him a call. Called him now. Chapter 53. Chapter 53, Trespassing into a Private Residence. Zhou Mei made a call to that friend. That friend spoke quite casually, saying penalty amounts are generally negotiable. Just explain the actual situation to the leaders, mentioning that being a young entrepreneur is tough. They would lower the penalty amount to something manageable. But when Zhou Mei revealed that the fine was 1.3 million, and their small shop couldn't even afford 100,000, there was silence on the other end. That's the general rule with penalties. The amount can be reduced, but only to a certain extent. Getting it halved would be great, reducing it to 1/10 would be too ideal. After the call, Zhou Mei lost the initial ease she had. Maybe, should I ask Chief Zhang to give their director a call? Miao Ryulan's heart, which had turned to ash, sparked with hope again. However, Zhou Mei paused while pulling out her phone. It still won't work. Even if Chief Zhang makes the call, at most they'd reduce it by 20 to 30%. You still couldn't afford it. This time it's really troublesome. Little Sue mentioned the law stipulates. Sister Joe, what exactly does the law stipulate? I primarily study criminal law. I really haven't delved into market laws. Those who enforce it definitely have laws to abide by, so finding loopholes is unlikely, Zhou Mei said. This is also a general rule. How could law enforcers break the law while enforcing it? Therefore, most people in such situations think of ways to mitigate the impact within the allowed legal limits, not solving the problem from the root level of law. Because that's their expertise. But, Miao Ryulan said, he said those criminals aiming to drive the detective agency out of Fengcheng have played their deadliest hand. If so, they might truly be breaking the law knowingly. Zhou Mei sharply reacted, to drive you out of Fengcheng. Where is he? Let him come over, we need to discuss this. Miao Ryulan picked up the phone to call Lin Zaiasu. It rang for a long time, but no one answered. Zhou Mei also tried calling with her phone, still no answer. What's going on? Zhou Mei frowned. Miao Ryulan said. When he left, he said he was going to deal with Captain Joe. He said it right in front of Captain Joe. My God, Zhou Mei exclaimed. We were just discussing knowingly breaking the law. He better not pull something like this at this critical moment. Miao Ryulan grew anxious as well. She knew well Lin Zaiasu's capabilities. He had mastered ancient martial. A single pebble from him could take someone's life. Such skills were immensely reassuring on the perilous battlefield, but in times of peace and legal constraints, during his moments of furious rage, it was the most unsettling factor. Don't do anything foolish. However, at this moment, the arrow was already off the bow, the kite already snapped from its string. Lin Zaiasu had left the detective agency, blending into the unknown corners among Fengcheng's population of 200,000. With his phone unreachable, there was simply no way to negotiate with him. The only option was to send a message. The message was delivered, but whether he saw it was unknown. Lin Zaiasu rode his electric bike across 4 blocks, occasionally stopping to look around, his gaze vacant yet detached. A faint smile slowly surfaced on his face. Around 10 o'clock, he rode his electric bike to a building near the west gate. Following a courier on a motorcycle into the residential complex, he entered as well. The courier went into building number 12. He entered building number 10. Taking the elevator directly to the 7th floor, he rang the doorbell of apartment 701. The door opened, and a charming woman in her 40s greeted him with a slight start. "Who are you looking for?" "Deputy Director Liu. He's at the office, hasn't come home yet." "No problem, I'll wait for him." Lin Zaiasu gently lifted his hand, caught the door, and pushed his way in. The woman's expression changed. "What's wrong with you? I didn't let you in." "Does it matter if you let me or not?" Lin Zaiasu walked to the coffee table and sat down confidently. "Any place I choose to enter, nobody can stop me." "Get up, otherwise I'm calling the police." The woman pointed her finger at Lin Zaiasu, who was sitting on the sofa, her voice abruptly rising. "The phone is over there." Lin Zaiasu pointed towards the entertainment wall next to a partition. The partition, made of ebony, appeared extremely high-grade. Her mobile phone was tucked away inside, not very noticeable, but Lin Zaiasu pointed directly at it. The woman grabbed the phone, still hesitating. Lin Zaiasu surveyed his surroundings. Nice decor. The money for this decor all comes from bribes, right?" What do you mean?" The woman, now genuinely frightened to call the police, was completely unable to gauge the man in front of her. "Isn't the meaning clear, and yet you don't understand?" Lin Zaiasu reclined on the sofa, legs crossed. Who exactly are you? What do you want with our old Liu?" "I am Lin Zaiasu from the Fengcheng Detective Agency." Lin Zaiasu said. "Deputy Director Liu sent someone to my detective agency early in the morning to issue me an exorbitantly priced fine that I cannot afford." The woman finally felt relieved. It turned out to be a plea regarding the fine. She was genuinely used to such matters. She had dealt with several cases like this before. But in those cases, people carefully knocked on the door, their hands laden with gifts, all seeking favor. How could there be such rudeness like today? Polite people are treated with politeness. At the very least, there would be a smile and tea served. But for someone as rude as Lin Zaiasu, obviously, the treatment would not be the same. The woman said coldly, "Job-related matters, you should go to his office to find him. Out you go." "You didn't let me finish what I was saying," Lin Zaiasu said. "What I wanted to tell you is, I cannot afford his fine, so I plan to have him go in first." "What do you mean?" "You still don't understand. It seems that our Deputy Director Liu is only good at embezzling and taking bribes, but not so much with women." Lin Zaiasu said. "I'll put it plainly. I plan to have Deputy Director Liu spend a few years in prison. I've come here today to inform you, so you can prepare some winter clothes for him in advance." The woman stared at him intently. Lin Zaiasu, sitting on the sofa looking at her, smiled gently. "Your eyes have conveyed a lot. It seems you are also aware of his illegal activities." With a casual remark, the woman's back started to sweat coldly. "I know you are going to call your husband next. I'll give you some privacy. Go into the room to make the call," Lin Zaiasu added. Wait, I'm calling the police." The woman turned and went into the room, and in the moment she opened the door, Lin Zaiasu's eyes were serene. The door opened and closed, but everything inside was etched into his mind. Not only what was in front of him, but also what happened last night. City Security Bureau, also on the 7th floor. Deputy Director Liu's office, spacious and tidy. Deputy Director Liu, named Liu Dong, 46, in his prime. Lately, there had been some rumors in the bureau that Director Ren was about to retire, and this seasoned deputy director was about to be promoted. His close subordinates had even privately congratulated him. So he had been very spirited recently. However, his expression was very grim at the moment, because his trusted subordinate Zhou Luping had reported to him today about someone's audacity. "My trouble has come," Liu Dong said coldly. "Then I want to see how much power he really has." He seems to have a good relationship with Chief Zhang Haikong of the Criminal Investigation Team. Maybe he thinks with the chief backing him, no one in Fengcheng can touch him, Zhou Luping said. That's his limited perspective. From his point of view, a criminal investigation team chief is like an emperor, but he doesn't know that the team chief is just a position, on the same level as me. Daring to make trouble recklessly, in minutes he will no longer be the team chief. Exactly, they're on the same level now, but in a few days, you'll be the ones meeting together with his superiors. Such people, Lin Zaiasu treats like an emperor and blindly trusts, really remains a country bumpkin, Zhou Luping said, laughing. Just then the phone on Liu Dong's desk rang. Zhou Luping laughed. Is this team chief really calling you? No, it's my wife. Liu Dong picked up the phone. Wife. Come back quickly, a voice came through the phone. What happened? Somebody has come to the house. It's Lin Zaiasu from Fengcheng Detective Agency. He even found his way to our house. Tell him to just get lost, Liu Dong said indifferently. The voice on the phone lowered, saying a lot. Liu Dong's eyebrows slowly furrowed. Finally he spoke. I'm coming back right away. The call ended, his expression incredibly dark. Director Liu, did Lin Zaiasu really go to your house? Zhou Luping's face also lost all traces of a smile. Yes, Liu Dong nodded lightly. He's really lawless. Let's call the police. I'll talk to the West City Police Station, tell them to arrest him directly. The charge is ready-made, trespassing. Not necessary for now. I'll go and see first. Liu Dong quickly gathered the items on his desk and stood up. Director Liu, should I come with you? No need. Liu Dong left the office and went downstairs. Under normal circumstances, he really should have taken one of Zhou Luping's proposals, either call the police or bring a couple of subordinates. A detective breaking into his own home should be controllable. But he dismissed both proposals, because Lin Zaiasu's intentions of ill will were clearly etched on his face. He had also repeatedly mentioned embezzlement and bribery. And Liu Dong didn't know how much he had on him. Blindly bringing a crowd could leave him vulnerable, who knew what he would say that others shouldn't hear. This is probably the habit of those who frequently do bad deeds. When Liu Dong got home, Lin Zaiasu was sitting on the sofa, legs crossed, not even bothering to stand, and his wife Deng Lan, a well-known figure among the Fengcheng ladies, stood by the window, arms crossed in a confrontational posture. Chapter 54. Chapter 54, On-Site Anti-Corruption. Lin Zaiasu, you should visit the office regarding official matters. This is called trespassing into a private residence, Liu Dong said, holding up a small leather bag and pointing at Lin Zaiasu, his tone fierce. As a detective, of course, I understand the law, Lin Zaiasu retorted, who would resort to such measures unless absolutely necessary. You know this is a last resort. Of course I do, Lin Zaiasu sighed, but when you refuse to take the high road, you force me to take the low one. What can I do when I encounter someone as foolish as you? The word foolish was uttered casually and lightly. Liu Dong was immediately enraged. Seems like there's nothing to discuss, get out. Hess, I'm not leaving, what can you do to me? Call the police, Liu Dong waved his hand slightly. The woman standing by the window immediately started dialing. The phone was quickly set down. The three people indoors, again in a standoff, and the air inside was as cold as an ice cellar. There was a gentle knock on the door. Liu Dong abruptly turned and opened the front door. Suddenly he froze. The person standing at the door was not the familiar officer from the police station, but rather three uniformed individuals, 2 men and 1 woman. Who are you? Anti-Corruption Bureau. One of them slightly raised his hand, flashing his badge. Who made the call just now? Lin Zaiasu slowly stood up from the sofa. That was me. And who might you be? Fengcheng Detective Agency's Lin Zaiasu declared. I've uncovered some leads about Deputy Director Liu here and arrived early to secure the scene. Now that you're here, we can unveil Vice Director Liu Dong's criminal facade. Liu Dong's face darkened suddenly. Whether I, Liu Dong, am incorruptible is well known throughout the county. Can you slander me just as you please? Heh, whether an official is incorruptible or not, is it something you ask about? Lin Zaiasu said. Why not look? The Anti-Corruption Bureau's trio glanced around. The house was indeed lavishly decorated, but that alone probably wasn't enough to prove anything. In modern society, let alone officials, there are wealthy folks too, some of whom spend tens of millions just on mahogany furniture for their homes. This house, at most, cost a couple of $100,000 to decorate, which could be supported by a salary. Where would you like us to look? Said an official around 40 years old from the middle. Lin Zaiasu subtly pointed his finger. There's a safe in the room, open it and have a look. As soon as these words were spoken, the woman by the window shivered violently. Liu Dong's face also stiffened suddenly. There is no safe in the room. There isn't one. The woman suddenly rushed over, blocking the doorway. The Anti-Corruption Bureau's people brightened up. Lin Ziasu smiled lightly. I told you, Liu Dong, the woman you brought is quite foolish. Isn't it obvious that she's panicked? Move aside. The team leader of the Anti-Corruption Bureau lightly lifted his hand and pushed the woman in front of him away. The body cams on the chests of all three were activated simultaneously. Inside the room, within a large wardrobe, there was a safe. Open it, the Anti-Corruption team leader said in a deep voice. Liu Dong's lips were a bit dry. This is my son's room and the safe is his, used for his collectible figurines from games. I don't know the password. Not knowing the password is no problem, Lin Ziasu said. Isn't that what you have a detective for? One of a detective's skills is opening locks. Liu Dong's face went pale. Lin Ziasu walked past him. Deputy Director Liu, isn't it strange? Your son's game figurines are causing you such agitation. You're sweating from your forehead. As he spoke, he had already entered the room and approached the safe. Just to confirm, may I help you open it? The Anti-Corruption Bureau's woman looked towards the official. The official nodded slightly, yes. Lin Ziasu's hand reached out, grasping the dial on the safe. He seemed to be listening closely, but in reality, he was watching. Yesterday, the director had opened the safe, and the combination could be deduced by rewinding time back. After a few spins, grabbing the handle, he pulled gently and the safe opened. The woman's eyes lit up. Inside the safe, stacks of cash, all red, amounted to over $1 million. Below, gold and jewelry. There was also a hidden compartment on top, containing bank deposit slips, securities, equity certificates, property deeds, with names including Liu Dong's, Deng Lan's, and their son Liu Xiaoyu's. Liu Dong and Deng Lan were trembling all over, the world spinning around them. The Anti-Corruption Bureau's man stood by the door, his piercing gaze firmly on them, making sure they had no chance of escape. Director Li, the cash and valuable documents amount to 6.58 million. If we include the real estate and jewelry, it's at least 20 million. Lin Ziasu sighed softly. Deputy Director Liu, how much is your salary? 7,500 a month, right? How did you manage to save so much? Unless you've been working for 300 years. Liu Dong's lips quivered lightly. This is retaliation. How to put this? Retaliation does seem to fit the bill. I told Chief Zhou to report to you about your impending troubles. Didn't he give you the message? Liu Dong, come with us, Director Li of the Anti-Corruption Bureau said sternly. Lin Ziasu turned around and left the room, with a bunch of people focusing their gaze on his back. Liu Dong harbored the deepest hatred among them. Lin Ziasu ignored them completely, and as soon as he exited the elevator, he saw the police cars outside, with several officers disembarking and rushing towards the unit. Lin Ziasu walked straight towards them. Several officers fixed their gaze on him at the same time. Was it him? Lin Ziasu stopped, a faint smile on his face. Which one of you is Zhou Yuanqing? The middle-aged officer in the center lifted his gaze. Who are you? It seems you are Zhou Yuanqing, Lin Ziasu said. I'm Lin Ziasu. Deng Lan called you asking to arrest someone. That was me. The three officers closed in around him. Lin Ziasu said, 2 pieces of news, one good, one bad. Which one do you want to hear first? Zhou Yuanqing stared at him coldly, naturally not answering such a frivolous question. Lin Ziasu answered himself. The good news is that you don't need to go upstairs. The person who called the police has already been taken down by the Anti-Corruption Bureau. I was at their place to protect the scene. The comrades from the Anti-Corruption Bureau believe that I have fulfilled a citizen's duty. No sooner had he spoken than a group of people emerged from the elevator, indeed the members of the Anti-Corruption Bureau. That Director Li came over to Lin Ziasu and reached out for a handshake. Thank you. The 3 officers were bewildered at the same time. The Anti-Corruption Bureau team got in their cars and left with Liu Dong and a big bag of things. Lin Ziasu said, Officer Zhou has already heard and seen the good news. Do you want to hear the bad news now? What is it? Zhou Yuanqing asked. Lin Ziasu said, that fool Deng Lan, when she made the call, did not dial the emergency number, but showed up on her phone was your private number, Zhou Yuanqing. So here's a question. Are you very close with this corrupt official Liu Dong, to the point where he'd trust a personal number over the emergency services? Zhou Yuanqing's face suddenly darkened. Even if there is some personal connection, what does it prove? Well, it's normal to have personal connections in society. Usually it proves nothing. But that's only if you can withstand scrutiny. Lin Zaiasu took out his mobile phone and made a call. Chief Zhang, it's Little Sue. There's a person in West City Police Station named Zhou Yuanqing, you know him, right? It's nothing much, just that he's very close to a corrupt official. How close? The kind of closeness you assume in emergency. Is it convenient to investigate? If it's not convenient for you, I can do it myself. But let me tell you, Chief Zhang, once I start investigating, I won't stop until I dig up everything, even where his ancestors are buried and how many dry bones remain. Things might get pretty big. All right, go report to your superior. The call ended. Zhou Yuanqing's complexion had completely changed. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Lin Zaiasu glanced at him. Officer Zhou, are you cold? Zhou Yuanqing's back felt a chill. What kind of joke is this? Indeed, I'm probably not good at joking. I'm off. Lin Zaiasu strode away, casually waving his hand behind his head. Graceful and at ease. Next stop, City Security Bureau. Lin Zaiasu entered the City Security Bureau, tilting his head to appreciate the 8 characters carved on the wall. Integrity and discipline. Law enforcement for the people. Then he went up to the office building. 5th floor, the director's office. As Lin Zaiasu stepped in, there was a small room outside with a woman sitting in front of a computer who looked up at Lin Zaiasu. You are Fengcheng Detective Agency's Lin Zaiasu. I need to see Director Ren, Lin Zaiasu said. To see Director Ren, you need to first register at the office and make an appointment. The director will meet you when he has time. You can't just barge in like this. The woman frowned, unhappy. This 5th floor was meant to be restricted, and yet this man had gotten in. How did he manage that? Lin Zaiasu offered a faint smile. Do you know who the last person to give me the bureaucratic runaround was? Deputy Director Liu Dong of your bureau. Do you know where Deputy Director Liu is right now? He's just been taken away for tea by the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Guess who gave him a ride? Sorry, that was me. The young woman's face suddenly changed. From inside the office, the sound of a chair being moved could be heard. Director Ren's voice came out. Let him in. Lin Zaiasu stepped inside the director's office. Director Ren was over 50 years old. His hair had grown white, but his years as director still brought with them an imposing aura. Lin Zaiasu's gaze swept across the desk. The desk had just been wiped clean. To be precise, 5 seconds ago, the director had put a pack of cigarettes into his inner jacket pocket and even thrown the ashtray into the bin. As a result, this desk was cleaner than ever before. Director Ren, you should have heard my introduction. No need to introduce myself again, right? Lin Zaiasu said. Director Ren nodded lightly. Have a seat. Are you aware of Deputy Director Liu's situation? Director Ren. Director Ren let out a long sigh. I just found out and it's truly disheartening. The woman from outside brought in a cup of tea, handing it to Lin Zaiasu, who smiled at her slightly. Thank you. He took the tea and placed it on the table in front of him. The young woman turned and left. She carefully closed the door of the office. Director Ren's eyes moved away from the door. What brings you here? Chapter 55. Chapter 55. Taking down Zhou Luping. Director Ren, don't be nervous, Lin Zaiasu said. I'm not here for you. What do you mean by that? Director Ren's face sank slightly. Director Ren, are you trying to say you're not nervous? If you really aren't, was there any need to put away the cigarettes on your desk before I walked in? Throwing even the ashtray into the trash bin was kind of ridiculous. Actually, you really don't have to be nervous. Jiangxia soft pack cigarettes are only 65 yuan a pack, not exactly sky-high priced. Director Ren's heart skipped a beat, his first glance going to the trash bin at his feet. Did this person in front of him have X-ray vision? Lin Zaiasu let out a small sigh. But on the other hand, Director Ren, you seem to have quite the smoking habit. Just yesterday after work someone gave you a carton of cigarettes, and in less than a day there are only 7 packs left. Smoking like that really puts a lot of pressure on those who give gifts. Director Ren's body broke out in a cold sweat. Indeed, there was a carton of cigarettes in the cabinet, one that a business owner had casually handed to him after discussing matters yesterday, and indeed, only 7 packs remained. This was a secret known to no one. But the man before him had laid it all bare as soon as he walked in. In an instant, he felt a chill throughout his body. He couldn't figure out Lin Zaiasu's true intentions. Could it really be that he had come to take action against him? A detective dealing with a legitimate director, that wouldn't be so easy. But don't forget just moments ago, his own vice director had been taken in by the Anti-Corruption Bureau for tea. If you keep spouting nonsense, we won't be able to discuss matters properly, Director Wren spoke in a heavy voice. That statement was very formal and serious, but in between the lines, there was already a hint of conciliation, because his goal was to discuss matters. Lin Zaiasu grinned slightly. Right, I almost forgot about the official business. He reached out his hand and passed a fine notice to Director Wren. This was delivered to our detective agency by your bureau this morning. Director Wren, take a look. Are there any problems? Director Wren took it, looked it over carefully, then slowly raised his head. They were also enforcing normally. The issuance of a fine notice doesn't necessarily mean that it will be that much. We are aware that it's not easy for young people to start businesses. As for the fine, our leaders can discuss it and offer some sort of reduction. Lin Zaiasu gently shook his head. Normal enforcement, some level of reduction, Director Wren. Don't you and the Bureau study the laws before enforcing them? Go on, there's a computer in front of you. Look up the Daxia Country Special Service Management Regulations. What does Article 78 say? Director Wren turned on his computer and searched. The Daxia Country Special Service Management Regulations, issued on April 13, 2129, and effective as of May 1, 2129. Special services include detective consulting. Article 78 states, charges for special services are based on the agreements made in the contract between both parties. Did you see it clearly, Director Wren? The detective industry is a special service industry. There is no fixed price listing. Fees are based on the contract between both parties. As long as it's the true intention of both parties, it is considered normal operations, which means Lin Zaiasu charging 10,000, even a million. The only thing I need to do is to pay taxes according to the law. It's not up to the City Security Bureau to issue me a fine. Director Wren let out a breath. It seems my people at the bottom need to strengthen their learning. They might not be familiar with these latest legal clauses. Latest? Not anymore, Director Wren. It has already been enforced for a full year, Lin Zaiasu said. It's kind of dangerous for those in law enforcement not to study the laws. That's right. Law enforcers not studying the law is a complete joke. Detective Lin, don't worry, I'll handle this. Lin Zaiasu smiled lightly. How will you handle it? Call over Captain Joe and make him drink 3 cups as a penalty. Director Wren's expression changed rapidly, finally picking up the phone and making a call. You and Little Song come over immediately. Soon after, there was a knock on the office door, and Captain Joe Looping, along with that Little Song, appeared in front of the director. They were slightly startled to see Lin Zaiasu. He had come straight to the director. This kid played hardball, didn't he? Was it really Detective Zhang Heikong from the Criminal Investigation Team who had set this up? Of course, they had no idea that their immediate superior had just been taken away by the Anti-Corruption Bureau. What's going on here? Director Wren's face darkened as he tapped on the fine notice on the desk. Captain Joe hurriedly explained. Director Wren, we were enforcing normally. This detective agency's fees are exorbitantly high, even for a dog. Look at this, look at this. Director Wren interrupted him and turned the computer screen toward him, pointing to a line of text on the screen. The detective industry belongs to the special service industry, and charges are based on the contract agreement between the parties. Which law are you applying? The market management law, right? The very last article of the market management law clearly states that this law does not encompass special services. Relevant provisions for special services have their own separate legislation. Joe Looping's expression changed. Little Song's expression also changed. Our enforcement has always been based on market management law. I really didn't pay attention to this clause. Joe Looping's forehead was covered in sweat. As a senior comrade, how could you make such a low-level mistake? Write a self-criticism report. Make 2 copies of the self-criticism, one for the Bureau to keep and the other to be handed to Detective Lin in person. Joe Looping's face underwent a volley of changes, unable to accept it. Writing a self-criticism was one thing, but to also hand a copy over to Lin Zaiasu was too much for his pride. Lin Zaiasu smiled lightly. No need for a self-criticism. This was a way out, and Lin Zaiasu stepping back made Director Wren feel relieved, and a warm smile appeared on his face. But Lin Zaiasu added, Director Ren said he made a low-level mistake, but that's also not right. He might not really be unaware of the law, he might just be betting that I didn't know it. Of course, he might also think he has people in the judicial system able to cover the sky with one hand. What are you implying? You're saying I knowingly broke the law, Joe Looping turned sharply. Whether it's knowing or unknowingly breaking the law, even if others suspect it, there's no evidence to prove it. I'm not hung up on that. Let's ask about something else, Lin Zaiasu said. Captain Joe, this morning, when Vice Director Liu Dong gave you the order to inspect my detective agency and casually threw you 2 packs of cigarettes, didn't you think there was a problem with it? Joe Looping's heart skipped a beat. The matter of giving him 2 packs of cigarettes, you actually found out about it too. How much effort did that take? Director Ren's face also turned gloomy. As long as cigarettes were mentioned, his heart couldn't help but tense up. Cigarettes had actually become a sensitive word for him. Lin Zaiasu said, "You've been working with him for many years and the tacit understanding is there. If it were just a normal case investigation, would a superior need to give you cigarettes? Giving you cigarettes is actually a signal, indicating that this matter is both official and personal, and you must act quickly, and you need to take a firm hand. You're making malicious conjectures. As for the specifics, Director Ren can ask Director Liu directly." Joe Looping hastened to change the subject, while throwing this sensitive topic to his immediate superior, trusting that someone who had survived the political ups and downs could handle it naturally. Lin Zaiasu smiled. "Captain Joe, you are putting Director Ren in a tough spot. Liu Dong has already gone to the Anti-Corruption Bureau for tea. How can you expect Director Ren to question him face to face?" Joe Looping was thoroughly shaken. Little Song's eyes suddenly widened. Good heavens, Director Liu has been taken in. The person in front of them had just said that trouble was coming for those behind them. Many people there thought this kid was out of his mind, but in less than 3 hours, Liu Dong was taken in. What on earth have we gotten ourselves into? Joe Looping, leaning on the desk with one hand, took a deep breath. Director Ren, I admit I lack knowledge, and I have only a superficial understanding of legal provisions. I made a mistake, but I really didn't intend to break the law willfully. Liu Dong gave you cigarettes to handle private cases, and you really had no alertness. Lin Zaiasu spoke indifferently. Who gave cigarettes? Bring the evidence. Joe Looping truly exploded, his finger pointed at Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu said, "Getting the evidence isn't difficult, but I'm too lazy to do it. Do you know why?" Joe Looping's chest heaved violently. Naturally, he wouldn't ask why. Lin Zaiasu said, "Because you taking his cigarettes isn't such a big deal. Fussing over it makes me seem petty. I've told you face to face, I'm going to take care of you. My kind of taking care of you isn't this low-level kind." You? Lin Zaiasu gently raised his hand, stopping him. 2 nights ago at 9 o'clock, at Bailu Restaurant, Li Kaiyuan from Brother Whose Men talked with you in room 8018 about the stock issues of King Company. You hold a 10% share, right? Joe Looping's brain went blank in an instant. This touched on his biggest secret, suddenly laid bare without warning. Why? How could it possibly have been discovered? There were no surveillance cameras there, and it happened under the high-pressure backdrop of the 5.16 major case. Their conversation was absolutely not overheard by a third party. Could it be that Li Kaiyuan had been caught? Confessed? But wasn't he on the run? Director Ren's heart also raced. Lin Zaiasu said, "King Company, a key link in the 5.16 major case. All shareholders are wanted criminals. Director Ren, shall I place the call to the special investigation team, or will you?" "You're slandering me. I don't have shares in King Company. Absolutely not." Joe Looping's forehead veins popped out, extremely agitated. "Calm down," Lin Zaiasu said. "If you make me misunderstand and think you're going to kill to silence me, and I end up dislocating your joints on the spot, that would be unfortunate." Joe Looping's chest rose and fell, as if he were going mad, but he no longer dared to move rashly. Lin Zaiasu no longer looked at him but stared at Director Ren. "Director Ren, the City Security Bureau just had a corrupt official, and now another fugitive is involved, drawing massive trouble. Can you continue to watch indifferently? What do you think the special investigation team will think?" Director Ren's face was incredibly dark. He slowly picked up the phone and dialed. Joe Looping circled the office hysterically. Director Ren roared, "Sit down. Wait for the special investigation team to verify. The innocent shall clear themselves and the guilty shall reveal themselves." Joe Looping heavily sat down on the sofa, and at this moment he finally showed signs of collapse. If time could be reversed, he definitely wouldn't have accepted this hot potato. He'd rather have provoked the heavens, the earth, or even the bigwigs in the county than this person. This isn't a person, this is a ghost. His superior was finished. And now he was finished too. This was Lin Zayasu's revenge. Clear and direct, if you want to screw me over, I'll screw you first. The city security bureau's move against him, he had clarified with a single clause, clean and clear, and his move against Liu Dong and Zhou Luping was to send them straight to the bureau for a winter stay. Who wouldn't be petrified by such decisive and eerie tactics, this nature of revenge without an overnight delay? Little Song's face was ashen, standing there, his calves trembling. Chapter 56, start with a punch. Lin Zaiasu stood up. Director Ren, I'm handing this notice to you. Although I consider myself to operate within the law, the professionals at City Security Bureau might interpret it differently. If you still feel it's necessary to penalize me severely, fine, let Little Song take the trouble and find me again. Director Ren's face twisted into a bitter gourd. Little Song shivered at this. Lin Zaiasu patted his shoulder. Little Song, you don't need to be scared. You've only been working for a few years, right? Even if you've never done anything wrong in such short time, you could hardly have done anything too terrible. Little Song stared at him, as if seeing a ghost alive. As Lin Zaiasu left the director's office, he bumped into several policemen right in front. They were from the special case group. Inside, Zhou Luping's legs went weak, and he was helped downstairs by two members of the case group. It proved that he wasn't someone with a strong psychological foundation. He knew he should stay calm at this moment, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. What could he do? The City Security Bureau was utterly shocked. As Lin Zaiasu exited the building and the yard, right in front of him was the Yishui River. Next to his electric bike, a black car was quietly parked. The window was open, and a beautiful woman inside was staring at him. He sensitively noticed that she breathed a sigh of relief when she saw him come out. She was Zhou Mei. When I saw the police enter, I could almost bet my last 8,000 yuan savings that they were there to arrest you, Zhou Mei said. With only 8,000 yuan savings, are you that poor? Lin Zaiasu glanced at her. In front of others, I have a house and a car, but in front of you, I have to pretend to be poor. Do you know why? Zhou Mei lowered her voice. I'm afraid you'll get me into trouble. Lin Zaiasu laughed and sat in her passenger seat. It seems you already know something. I just found out a very explosive piece of information. The vice director of the City Security Bureau, Liu Dong, was just taken to have tea at the Anti-Corruption Bureau, and the person who sent him there was you. And right afterwards, members from the special case group went in and arrested Zhou Luping because of you. This is the unique ecosystem of small county towns. When an official is taken down, the news spreads very fast. Zhou Mei said, there isn't much fun in a small county town, but these things are quite entertaining. Who can resist spreading such explosive news? Lin Zaiasu said, actually, this also shows from another level that the general populace really detests corrupt officials. As soon as they hear such news, they celebrate enormously. So you think you are advocating for justice for the people today? Isn't it? Yes, Zhou Mei said. But do you know why those in history who advocated for the people most often had tragic endings? I understand what you mean. Lin Zaiasu sighed softly. From today onwards, not only criminals hope I leave Fengcheng, but a bunch of dirty officials hope even more urgently that I leave Fengcheng. You really understand it, Zhou Mei sighed softly. But why does someone as clear-minded as you insist on placing yourself in such a storm? Because to do business peacefully in such an environment, you must establish authority. Otherwise, you will never know who issues the next ticket, or whether some trouble, not involving money but 100 times more bothersome, might pop up and prevent my detective agency from operating. Deterrence, establishing authority. These were the real reasons behind his uncompromising actions today. He wanted to create a commanding presence in one strike. He wanted all those who harbored ill intentions against him to not even dare to make a move. That's called nipping in the bud. In large cities, the downfall of one or two officials might not cause much stir, but in a small county town under this special ecosystem, any small disturbance is known throughout the entire county within hours. These officials will look at Fengcheng Detective Agency with caution. They will know that taking action against him involves high risk. In this world, no one is perfect. No one can boldly claim that they have nothing they can't speak of. So he may have become a taboo in Fengcheng. Jo Mei slowly shifted her gaze from the distance. What did Director Ren say about the ticket? That ticket is not a big deal. It's not up to him to comment, Lin Ziasu said. What do you mean? Legally, it's clearly defined. Detectives are a special industry, not subject to market management law. Applicable are DZIA special business regulations. Article 78 clearly stipulates. Service fees are based on the contract. Is there a legal basis? Jo Mei's eyes brightened. Do you law enforcers not study the law? Lin Ziasu looked at her disdainfully. No, Jo Mei said. Did you already know there was no legal issue when you angrily rode off on your little e-bike? Isn't that obvious? If my own hands weren't clean, would I dare to challenge Zhou Luping? Why didn't you explain it on the spot? It could have been resolved with just a single sentence. Didn't I just explain? Deterrence. I want to use this incident to block malicious intentions from all sides. He jumped out on his own and became this warning monument. Why wouldn't I be happy? A warning monument. Why not be happy about it? Jo Mei was unsure what to think. You rascal, you really are cunning. You don't know how much I talked with people this morning or how turbulent my heart was. Little do you know, you already had everything planned. You were already beyond the scope of that ticket. Let's hurry back. Your little girlfriend is so anxious she's almost climbing the roof. Bring her this good news and share some joy with her. Jo Mei was right about that. She was anxious, but Miao Rulan was even more anxious. Jo Mei still had a few channels to talk things through. Even if the responses were lukewarm, she still had some ways. Miao Rulan was completely clueless and anxious. She was the one who needed to know this news the most. Lin Ziasu got on her electric scooter and started it. Jo Mei felt something unusual in her heart. She said that, yet he didn't argue or clarify. Do you really treat Miao Rulan as your girlfriend? I ask you tentatively, and you don't argue. Lin Ziasu stopped her vehicle in front of her window and knocked. Jo Mei's heart skipped a beat, remembering to clarify now. The window slid down. Lin Ziasu greeted her with a smile. Are you free this afternoon? What for? Jo Mei asked. Let's go out and have fun together. Just the two of us? Yes. Jo Mei's heart swerved a bit. Is this your argument? You didn't argue about whether Miao Rulan is your girlfriend or not. You just directly asked me to go out, and it's just us two. Jo Mei's brows furrowed slightly. She pondered for a long while, then nodded. I've just finished my tasks at hand. Where shall we go? Come over at 2:30 this afternoon. I'll tell you the details then. Lin Ziasu rode away on her electric scooter. Jo Mei stood there, a little disoriented. Today is a work day. I still have a pile of tasks. How did I get so heated up and agree to go out with him? Skipping work to go out with a man, is that really okay? But I've agreed already. It seems bad to go back on my word. Besides, I've set up so many impressive achievements over the past month, one more sensational than the other. Taking a day off occasionally, Chief Zhang probably won't say anything. Lin Ziasu returned to the detective agency. Miao Rulan was still pacing in the office and almost cried when she saw him. But Lin Ziasu smiled, and just by his smile, Miao Rulan's heart leapt. How did it go? It's fine. Fine? What do you mean by fine? It means the fine issue is not an issue. We don't have to pay even a cent in penalties. We have laws to follow. A legal clause searched out from the computer. Miao Rulan's feelings truly fluctuated. After a long time, she exhaled deeply. So it's resolved like that? Yes. Resolving it peacefully is the best. We're doing business here, no need to really confront them head-on. After all, they are law enforcement. We can't really fight to the death. Are you advising me? Yes, Miao Rulan admitted directly. In Fengcheng, doing business smoothly without waves is good. Facing government units, it's better not to confront them directly. Lin Ziasu said. It's a bit late. Zhou Luping has already been arrested. Little Song, who came with him, may have a long-lasting enforcement phobia. The vice director Liu Dong, who directed them, has already been dealt with by the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Miao Rulan was deeply shaken, gasping. Lin Ziasu gently patted her shoulder. I tell you this because I don't want you to face them without confidence. The only thing we need to do is make sure we operate legally and pay taxes according to the law. As long as we are upright, there's no need to feel timid in front of anyone from now on. No matter who acts imperiously in front of us, you can stand up straight. To be honest, with so much money, I really don't feel confident. Miao Ruolen blinked. In the future, I will definitely learn both the law and your way of handling things, hoping someday I can also boldly point at someone's nose and say, I'll deal with you. Damn, you've changed, little girl, getting a bit naughty. Miao Ruolen's eyes flickered slightly. Today someone also sent over a piece of paper. Lin Ziyasu's eyes widened. What else? Yeah, take a look. Miao Ruolen picked up a scroll from the desk, 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. My God, such a huge fine, it can't be meant to bankrupt us. To bankrupt us, they really don't need such a huge fine. A single A4 paper could bankrupt us 10 times. Miao Ruolen handed the paper over. Lin Ziyasu took the paper and unfolded it. He was stunned. Inside was not some dead person from some unit sending a fine. It was a painting. In the painting, a person was shown in profile, leaning by the window, reading a book. Outside the window showed the bustling flow of carriages and horses. Inside, it was a leisurely, quiet reading time. Not too many elements, just these two. But it depicted the contrast of motion and stillness, full of philosophy. A single large character on the painting, it was the title, Window. Next to it were 10 small characters, shallow ripples beneath the eyes, long days beyond the window. Chapter 57, Chapter 57, Gene Realm II, Awakening. He had seen this painting before. When he saw it, there was no title, nor were these 10 words inscribed. That morning in the library, the woman he met drew him this painting and wanted to give it to him, but didn't he have something else to attend to? He left and didn't take the painting. Now, this woman had completed the painting with a title and inscribed a verse, and sent it to the detective agency. Who is the person in this painting? Miao Ruolen blinked and asked. Handsome or not? Lin Ziyasu counter-questioned. A bit, pretty handsome. Since he is a bit handsome, it could only be me, Lin Ziyasu said. Miao Ruolen's expressive eyes glanced around. Then, about the person who did the painting for you, who is she? Coincidentally, I was also about to ask that question. Miao Ruolen said, you don't know her. To say I completely don't know her would be a lie. I've seen her a few times in the library, but we don't even nod in greeting. It was just this morning when she suddenly said, hey, to me, and then told me she wanted to give me a painting. I think she's a bit mysterious, Miao Ruolen said. When she was waiting for a car outside the window, she looked back, and that glance felt somewhat complex. Miao Ruolen raised her hand, pointing out the window to tree. That was a southern Chinese parasol tree. A gaze a bit complex. How complex? Lin Ziyasu stared out the window, his gaze suddenly detached. Cars and horses on the road in his eyes seemed to rewind like a tape. He saw that woman standing under the parasol tree, her gaze. How to describe that look? To say it was complex wouldn't really be accurate. It didn't look complex. But it indeed was somewhat strange. It seemed she was looking at something in front of her, yet the focus of her gaze seemed to be on the distant horizon. What do you call that kind of look? Detached. Like a big personality, observing all the beings in the world. You feel she is right beside you, very approachable, but her gaze had never really focused on you. A mosquito, attracted by her fair, tender and moist neck, headed towards her jade-like neck. It looked like it was about to succeed in collecting nectar. Suddenly, a strand of hair fluttered up, striking the mosquito, turning it into a mist so faint it was almost invisible. Lin Ziyasu's heart skipped a beat, and his eyes blinked involuntarily. With that blink, he naturally exited reverse time. What's wrong? Miao Ruolen's gaze lifted, a bit surprised. She had been with Lin Ziyasu for some time and could sensitively perceive the subtle changes in his expression. Just now, he had clearly seen something that shocked him. Lin Ziyasu exhaled softly. It's almost late May now, mosquitoes are becoming more plentiful. Ruolen, as ancient martial cultivators, do we have some unimaginable method to repel mosquitoes? Miao Ruolen laughed, stretched out her hand swiftly towards her feet, and slowly opened her palm. There was a mosquito in her palm, fluttering, its legs trapped between Miao Ruolen's fingers. Like this, Miao Ruolen smiled. To be able to catch a mosquito in midair with just a stretch of a hand, this is the power of an ancient martial cultivator. Lin Ziyasu looked at her hair. Can you, without moving a finger, use one of your hairs to smack a mosquito dead? Miao Ruolen glanced at him. Do you think I'm an immortal? Even if my true chi advances a level and really reaches the realm of flying flower-picking leaves that can harm others, how can I control my own hair so precisely? So in your understanding, if someone can use a hair to smack a mosquito, it's an immortal's technique. Miao Ruolin said, in the ancient martial system, this kind of realm is probably equivalent to an immortal's technique. But that's just the ancient martial system. In modern society, ancient martial arts have declined, genetics are prevalent, and whether the genetic system has such miraculous methods, I truly don't know. Why suddenly ask this question? Nothing much, just that it's summer and there are more mosquitoes. Miao Ruolin laughed. You surely aren't thinking of using rejuvenation true chi to open a circuit in your scalp, just for swatting mosquitoes, are you? Don't be so imaginative. I've already bought mosquito coils. With the fragrance of olive chrysanthemum, it smells very nice. Take a whiff. She really took out a box of mosquito coils, letting Lin Zaiasu smell it. Lin Zaiasu closed his eyes to smell it, his mind once again returning to the spine-tingling scene just now. That woman could use her hair to kill a mosquito, and throughout the whole process, the mosquito was outside of her line of sight. What kind of terrifying method was this? If it's ancient martial, Miao Ruolan had said it was an immortal's technique. Ancient martial arts have already withered away. Lin Zaiasu was more inclined to consider her a genetic master. And genetics really achieve such miraculous feats. Certainly, genetics truly encompass everything. Some creatures, hairs are not hairs but tentacles. If such genes are implanted into a human body, would they turn human hair into tentacles? Regardless of the possibility, this method is startling and exceptional. Its miraculous level far surpasses Chang Yi and 88. Chang Yi Xinyu 88, no matter what, they are still human. But this woman, she no longer seems human. Could this be the second realm of genetics, awakening? If she really is in the second realm, then the question arises. Awakeners are dominant figures in every country around the globe. What kind of virtue and ability does little Feng Cheng have to attract such a grand Buddha? Why is she intentionally making friends with him? It's noon, let's go out for a meal, Lin Zaiasu said. Great, let's have the best today, Miao Ruolan exclaimed. Her mood had fluctuated greatly today. After the crisis had passed, it was all clear skies again, and she felt they deserved to treat themselves for surviving the ordeal. Walking along the street, they went straight to a newly opened snack shop. Lin Zaiasu stopped outside the door, looking towards the end of the main road. The mysterious woman had left, taken a car out of Fengcheng, and got on the highway 10 miles away. After lunch, Miao Ruolan rode a small electric bike to work on a case. This case was accepted yesterday, just a routine property investigation. She told Lin Zaiasu that she could handle such cases on her own, and Lin Zaiasu was happy to see her do so. This girl had learned a bellyful of surveying and detective theories and had followed him on some cases too. It was time to let her handle some small cases independently. After all, people have to grow up gradually. And Lin Zaiasu, sitting in the reception hall, oh no, the small reception area of the detective agency, was very relaxed with his left leg resting over his right knee, until the sound of a car horn came from outside. Lin Zaiasu looked up to see Zhou Mei's car. He walked out and casually pulled down the rolling shutter door. Sitting in the passenger seat, Lin Zaiasu felt a sense of brightness before his eyes. Today, Zhou Mei was not wearing her police uniform but a sky-blue autumn dress with a pink jacket over it. Her hair was down, and if he wasn't mistaken, there was a light layer of foundation on her face. Taking a gentle sniff, he couldn't be wrong. There was even a scent of powder. You have to say, with such an outfit, she truly reached a new height of beauty. Zhou Mei fundamentally had an excellent foundation. Due to her profession, she was often exposed to the elements, which darkened her skin, and her hair was usually tied up showing efficiency and sharpness. But today, she overcame all that and revealed an entirely different kind of beauty. Zhou Mei's gaze swept over the detective agency. Where S. Ruolan? She went to work on a case. You let her work on a case by herself and ran off to play. Lin Zaiasu smiled. Do you really think I went out to play today? Zhou Mei's brows slightly furrowed. What do you mean? Lin Zaiasu said. You forgot to ask me one question this morning. Why did Liu Dong want to harm me? A light jump crossed Zhou Mei's heart. There's someone else behind him. Exactly last night, someone gave him 50,000 yuan to make sure he drove me out of Fengcheng, which led to today's farce. Zhou Mei exhaled. It makes sense now. I was wondering, Liu Dong theoretically had no dealings with you. Why would he suddenly pop up and issue you a ridiculously high fine that you couldn't afford even if you sold your ancestral home? So there's another twist. Who's behind this? It's a driver, Boss Du Lifeng's personal driver from Dell Company, who theoretically also doubles as a bodyguard. Zhou Mei was stunned. Dell Company in this county? No. The largest pharmaceutical enterprise in the city. The largest merchant brought in by the county's investment promotion 8 years ago. One of the top 3 companies on the tax list. The enterprise selected by the county government as an outstanding business every year. A company that holds an entire section in the government work reports. The owner of this company is also one of the most distinguished entrepreneurs in the county, always seated in the front row or even on the stage at entrepreneurial gatherings, and his base plus farmer plus enterprise business model, known as the Dell model. With so many titles and such a prominent reputation, he has all the glory that the boss of the new era should have. It's him. He wants to drive Fengcheng Detective Agency out of Fengcheng. Why him? What kind of grudge do you have with him? Zhou Mei really didn't understand. I've never met him before, and theoretically, there's no link to his ancestors in my family tree, so why would there be any festering resentment? Lin Ziaosu's eyes slightly narrowed. That's probably what we are going to his place to figure out today. He's a big boss. Even the head of the Investment Promotion Bureau probably has to make an appointment to see him. Lin Ziaosu blinked. That's why I'm inviting you to join me. Zhou Mei's eyes widened. This is your real purpose for asking me out today. You're using my uniform. I failed to realize your intentions and even took off the very clothes you cared about. There's really no tacit understanding between us. A big boss, an entrepreneur who is highly valued even by the county's higher-ups. How difficult is it for ordinary people to meet him? Even an ordinary civil servant is unlikely to see him. But a police officer is different. With the name of investigating a case, where can't you go? Who can't you see? Lin Ziaosu, you bastard. A simple "we'll go out to play" made her wonder for an entire afternoon. Her heart was in turmoil the whole afternoon, and after taking a bath and changing clothes and even applying makeup. What's the end result? It was completely unrelated to the frills she had imagined. He was merely using her as a banner, leveraging her special identity to knock open the big boss's office door. This really left Zhou Mei at a loss for words. It's nothing, Lin Ziaosu said. You don't need to wear your police uniform and you don't even need to show your badge. Just report your real identity and Mr. Du will happily receive us. That's true, the dirtier someone's butt, the more they will show their openness and amiability. He will definitely meet us, but then what? Zhou Mei said. Then you'll just throw out your detective findings. Yes. Do you think he will admit it? He'd have to be crazy to admit it. Chapter 58. Chapter 58, The Big Boss of Dell Company. Zhou Mei nodded slightly. Right, he won't admit it unless you have solid evidence. There's rarely solid evidence for handing over cash. I have no evidence. So, what are we doing here? You ask, he answers, and that's that. It's completely useless and we might even spook the target, Zhou Mei said. Lin Ziaosu laughed. Do you believe in this saying? Opportunities are created in the process. Zhou Mei stared at him for a long while. Why do I always feel like you're leading me into a ditch whenever I'm with you? Hey, that's heartless, haha. Think about it, ever since we've known each other, haven't you been rising rapidly through the ranks in the criminal investigation team? Rising rapidly, my foot. I haven't had a peaceful day since I met you. We've been busy, but there were rewards, right? Your police badge is almost shining, isn't it? I like to hear that. It's like the only shining star in a sea of suffering. Zhou Mei was slightly pleased. So, come with me today, and maybe that shining star on your shoulder will get another one added to it. Cut it out. Today you're purely using me as a human shield or a stepping ladder. If someone reports me for abuse of power and I don't get into trouble, I should thank my lucky stars, let alone expect to achieve something. How about this? If you don't get anything out of today, I'll give you something else, Lin Ziaosu said. Zhou Mei's eyes lit up. What? A breakthrough in the 5.16 major case. Who? Brother Hu's right-hand man Li Kaiyuan, the former chairman of King Company. Zhou Mei was shocked. Li Kaiyuan, a key figure at King Company. It could even be said that by catching him, all the links in Brother Hu's chain would smoothly come undone. Therefore, the task force highly valued this person, having already issued a wanted notice with a reward of 300,000. The task force had also announced a reward plan internally. Any officer who finds key clues would be promoted one rank. A rank promotion equates to a police badge. The police badge, Jomei's greatest love. Where is he? Jomei was truly excited. What I said was, if there's no gain today, then I'll give you this, Lin Zaiasu said. Stop beating around the bush. Don't you know that police matters are urgent? Spit out whatever you found. From this moment I'm all yours, use me however you like. Hey, you can't just say things like that recklessly. Scared of what? You're just using me as a scapegoat, right? How else will you use me? Lin Zaiasu leaned in and whispered something to her. Jomei's boldness disappeared from her face. How did you know? Lin Zaiasu sighed softly. I'm generally cautious by nature. With the 5.16 case dragging you down, I obviously had to be vigilant against those who slipped through the net targeting me. So I ventured out at night to Beilu Restaurant, a place frequently mentioned by certain individuals, hoping to get lucky and find out if they were planning anything against me. Luckily, I struck gold, just as I saw Li Kaiyuan and Zhou Luping entering a room. What Li Kaiyuan told Zhou Luping was that the situation was turning sour, and he had to leave. In Fengcheng, he couldn't trust anyone else except for Zhou Luping. Why? Because Zhou Luping was the only one below Li Kaiyuan. If Li Kaiyuan were to be arrested, Zhou Luping would surely be implicated. If Li Kaiyuan roamed free, Zhou Luping needn't worry. This was a special trust forged under extraordinary circumstances. It was a dead knot between the two. Li Kaiyuan wouldn't be caught, ensuring Zhou Luping's safety. Since Zhou Luping wasn't on the task force's radar, Li Kaiyuan could not be caught either. Therefore, Li Kaiyuan dared to share his emergency contact methods with Zhou Luping, instructing him to keep him updated on the progress of the 5.16 case, and simultaneously covertly manage the properties he left behind. After hearing all this, Jomei's face turned red. The hideout Li Kaiyuan used, those layers of social relationships, were truly unknown to anyone. Absolutely not listed in the files. If they were to look for him, not even digging 3 feet into the ground would yield any traces. Jomei didn't waste a second and switched to a different phone to call the task force. The task force immediately stirred with excitement. A net cast wide and fast spread toward Zhongcheng. Before Jomei could hang up her phone, the task force had already sprung into action. The task force leader took a deep breath on the other end of the phone. Comrade Jomei, if the information you provided is true and effective, we will acknowledge your merit. Thank you, leader, it's my duty. After hanging up the phone, Jomei took a deep breath. Now I'll fulfill my promise, I'm all yours. Dell Company is located in the south of the city. The vast land area fully reflects the sincerity of the local government's efforts in attracting investment. 100 acres of land is given to you, with all kinds of procedures fast-tracked, land disputes handled without your concern. You just focus on getting the factory up and running. The land transfer fees are at an unbelievably low price, tax-exempt for 3 years after the factory is built, half-tax for 5 years. Dell Company is truly impressive. The usual haggling businessmen employ is absent here. He accepts everything on offer, never defaults on taxes, and even advances tax payments when the local government is in financial difficulty to help them through tough times. Who wouldn't like a businessman like that? As a result, within a few years, he became a model entrepreneur, a guest of honor across various government departments, a successful example in investment attraction. Lin Zaiasu and Zhou Mei drove their car into the industrial park. Before them lay the extraordinary factory complex. Dozens of uniform steel-structured buildings, raw material workshops, sorting workshops, batching workshops, production workshops, finished product workshops, packaging workshops. Each workshop was filled with a large number of workers. The factory had a security guard. Seeing the police badge presented by Jomei, the old man's attitude underwent a significant change. Comrade police officer, please come in. They entered the office building without any issues. On the 3rd floor was the chairman's office, where they met the secretary. This secretary exceeded their expectations. Such a position for a boss's secretary, many are just ornamental, especially in private enterprises. But this secretary was definitely not just for show. She was beautiful, well-dressed, without heavy makeup, and appeared shrewd and capable. Upon hearing the purpose of their visit, the secretary immediately poured them a cup of tea. Her movements when pouring the tea were absolutely elegant and clean, not a single superfluous gesture. With the teacup handed to them, her face also bore a very calm smile. The boss is receiving a business guest. It might take a little while longer, but once they're finished, I'll take you in. Lin Zaiasu gently nodded, receiving which business guest? The secretary said, Changsheng Group. Lin Zaiasu remarked, Changsheng Group is a major national company. They're also your clients. The range of Changsheng Group's business covers everything. If we have the chance to become their partners, why not embrace the opportunity? A few seemingly casual words, but they revealed the caliber of the secretary. Changsheng Group, a well-known domestic private company established 30 years ago, rose to prominence 10 years ago with its gene industry fame spreading throughout the country and even globally. Such a globally renowned company being a partner of Dell Company is an honor in itself, but the secretary spoke with a very calm tone, without any intent to use Changsheng Group to embellish their own company's image. The conversation inside soon ended. The door opened and a middle-aged man came out. This person was the business representative of Changsheng Group. Du Lifeng personally escorted him out, nodding and smiling at Lin Zaiasu and Zhou Mei, and after sending the guest to the elevator, he returned. Du Lifeng, around 50 years old, with a slick-back hair, his broad face giving him a boss-like presence and making his vigor and vitality particularly evident. Who might you be? Boss, this is Officer Zhou from Fengcheng Criminal Investigation Team and Detective Lin from Fengcheng Detective Agency. The secretary stepped forward and introduced them to her boss. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Du Lifeng shook hands with them. Let's talk inside my office. There was nothing out of the ordinary. The office was spacious, but the decor was not overly lavish, displaying a low-profile luxury with depth. For example, the tea table was made of mahogany. The desk was made of mahogany. The few ornaments on the desk all had taste. There was no computer. At this level of manager, probably the stage of personally operating a computer has passed. A dedicated guest area, the sofas were very large, and every corner was spotlessly clean. The three sat down, and Du Lifeng started with a smile. I don't deal much with law enforcement. This office probably is welcoming officers for the first time. Really? Said Lin Zaiasu. Du Lifeng laughed. There might be another reason. I used to work in the West Building. It's only this month that I moved here. Boss Du has a good sense of humor. Lin Zaiasu smiled as well. Du Lifeng laughed heartily. The atmosphere relaxed. The secretary came in with 2 cups of tea. The tea leaves had been changed, and it was fresh tea. Seeing the harmonious atmosphere in front of her, the secretary also smiled. Du Lifeng said, Tell me what brings you here today. His gaze was on Zhou Mei, but Zhou Mei didn't speak. Lin Zaiasu did. This morning, City Security Bureau suddenly came to my detective agency and issued a huge fine. I knew someone wanted me out of Fengcheng, so I used detective methods to investigate and came to a conclusion that involves Boss Du. Oh, Du Lifeng's smile was consistent, but at this moment the smile was gone. Lin Zaiasu looked him in the eyes and slowly said, Vice Director Liu Dong from City Security Bureau claimed that around 8 o'clock last evening, you had your driver send him 50,000 yuan to get me driven out of Fengcheng. What? I arranged for someone to send money to Liu Dong to drive you out of Fengcheng, Du Lifeng laughed. Although I do know Vice Director Liu Dong, it's only as an acquaintance at most. Any slightly reasonable person should know how absurd that is. Chapter 59. Chapter 59. Listen to a deduction as if it were a story. Lin Zaiasu said, Why not call your driver over to ask him in person? Maybe he's been up to something behind your back. Du Lifeng slightly furrowed his brow. Little Juan, give Dongzi a call and have him come over. The secretary, Little Juan, immediately dialed the number. Soon after, the door to the office opened, and the person Lin Zaiasu had closely observed through reverse time walked in. The man was approximately 30 years old, slim, and quite handsome. Boss, you called for me. His voice was calm and his demeanor refined. Dongzi, answer all of Detective Lin's questions truthfully, said Du Lifeng. Sure, boss. Lin Zaiasu turned to Dongzi. Deputy Director Liu Dong from the City Security Bureau said that around 8 o'clock last night, you delivered 50,000 yuan to him, asking him to find a way to shut down my Fengcheng Detective Agency. Is this true? Dongzi looked a bit bewildered. City Security Bureau, Liu Dong. I don't remember that at all, delivering money. Impossible, I don't even know him. Besides, I'm not familiar with the Fengcheng Detective Agency. Where were you last night at 8 o'clock? Lin Zaiyasu asked. Last night at 8 o'clock. I was still with the boss after 7 o'clock, and by 8 o'clock I should have been back in my room, probably taking a shower. I forgot exactly, but after leaving here, I returned to my room and didn't go out again. Every movement, every expression Mei, with her teacup in hand, could see everything clearly, including the slightest change in gaze. She had to admit she could not detect any clues. She also seemed to question whether Lin Zaiyasu had made a mistake. Lin Zaiyasu fell silent. Detective Lin, anything else you want to ask? Dongzi said. No, that's all. Then boss, I'll step out now, Dongzi said. Du Lifeng nodded gently. Lin Zaiyasu stood up, a smile appearing on his face, and extended his hand. Sorry to trouble you to come here. It's nothing. Dongzi also smiled and shook his hand. A gentle shake, a very normal etiquette. However, Dongzi's eyelids suddenly twitched slightly. He felt an unusually strong grip from Lin Zaiasu's handshake. As the grip relaxed, Lin Zaiyasu turned around, touched his head lightly, and sat back on the sofa. After a moment of hesitation, Dongzi stepped out of the office. There was a brief silence in the office. Du Lifeng smiled lightly. Detective Lin, it seems this was a misunderstanding. Lin Zaiyasu slowly lifted his gaze, silently regarding him. Du Lifeng said, as businessmen, we value harmony and wealth creation, and would not make enemies without reason. You and I have had no dealings before, and this is our first meeting today. Just by thinking about it, it's clear that I would have no reason to target you, right? This statement logically dealt with the issue. How others saw it, Mei did not know, but she herself was almost convinced. Indeed, what reason would Du Lifeng have to target him? No motive at all. Boss Du, I am a detective, and we detectives are accustomed to reasoning. I have a theory I'd like to discuss with you. If it makes sense, don't be upset. If it doesn't, just laugh it off as a ludicrous tale. What do you say? Detective Lin really has an interesting taste. Let's hear it. Du Lifeng chuckled. Du Lifeng said, I have no dealings with you, which is true in a physical sense, but in some past events, honestly, you have occasionally come under my radar. Mei felt a sudden stir in her heart. This was the critical point. Du Lifeng's brows furrowed. Oh, let's hear it. Lin Zaiyasu said, there was a case 7 days ago, the widely known case involving the CEO of Hongsing Pharmaceutical, Wang Changfa. Boss Du, you must have heard of it. Du Lifeng nodded slightly. The key person in this case, Li Yufeng, had applied a new poison named P39 in her locale, which can be transmitted sexually. She transmitted it to Wang Changfa, who then passed it on to other women involved with him. Initially, we believed this case was simply about a mistress ascending to power, but we later vaguely discovered it wasn't just about a mistress's rise. Her real intention was to foster a drug dependency in Wang Changfa and then to seize his billions in assets. Mei's heart skipped a beat. Why suddenly bring up this case now? Why? What does this have to do with Du Lifeng? Du Lifeng sighed lightly. I have indeed heard of this case, but like most people, I thought it was a mistress usurping a position. I didn't expect there to be such twisted and bizarre insider stories behind it. Although convoluted, this explanation makes more sense. Although it makes sense, there are still a few doubts about the case that I have not been able to connect, Lin Zaiyasu said. Firstly, P39 was only added to the police database in March this year. Theoretically, this drug shouldn't be circulating on the market, so how did Li Yufeng get hold of this drug? Secondly, Li Yufeng was not poisoned herself, setting aside the incredibly unlikely possibility of her having a special constitution. There's only one other possibility. She took an antidote beforehand, which is even more bizarre. A new type of drug, and the police haven't even completed analyzing its composition, yet she managed to obtain an antidote. Where did the antidote come from? Du Lifeng scratched his head. I really admire you detectives. Just listening to this makes my head spin. There's a third doubt, Lin Zaiyasu said with a light smile. We previously concluded that Li Yufeng did this to foster Wang Changfa's drug dependency, which actually doesn't hold up. A major business owner with assets worth hundreds of millions isn't so easily emptied, even if he developed an addiction, forming a dependency. It's not something Li Yufeng could just handle at will. Mei's heart raced. The points Lin Zaiyasu mentioned were all doubts held by the police. The real doubts. Could it be that he has an answer? Du Lifeng said, Detective Lin's reasoning is indeed brilliant. Perhaps I'm just slower. It took me a while to sort it out. Lin Zaiyasu said, These three major doubts had puzzled me too until I saw a piece of news, and suddenly a figure appeared in my mind, and that person is you, Boss Du. Everyone in the room was shocked. Du Lifeng widened his eyes. A piece of news made you think of me. He curved his fingers, pointing at his own nose, his face filled with disbelief. On the government's website, there was a news article from March 17th. Dell Company negotiated with Hongsing Pharmaceutical. This negotiation was conducted under the guidance of county government departments, but the news did not mention any consensus reached, which indicates that your discussion was unsuccessful. So, I researched carefully and discovered that the project you discussed was about the management rights of bases. Hongsing Pharmaceutical is a local pharmaceutical company. Its biggest strength is that it owns 9 production bases for medicinal materials. Dell Company is a foreign pharmaceutical company holding the latest technologies. When these two powerhouses join forces, new opportunities arise. This was the key reason why the county government led this negotiation, to facilitate a win-win cooperation between the two major local pharmaceutical companies. However, Hongsing Pharmaceutical was not on board. Why? Because they knew, once Dell Group took over the management rights of these medicinal bases, they would genetically modify the traditional Chinese medicine herbs, and performing genetic transformations at the medicinal material stage is a highly risky affair. A slight mishap could lead to unpredictable effects of the medicine. The biggest resistance in Hongsing Pharmaceutical was Wang Changfa. Although Wang Changfa is lecherous, acts boldly, and often does unreasonable things, he still maintains the basic ethical line of a pharmaceutical factory owner. In fact, other shareholders of Hongsing Pharmaceutical agreed to the plan, but it was Wang Changfa who used his veto power at the internal shareholders meeting to halt this project. Based on this, Wang Changfa became the last and only opponent of this project. Zhou Mei was completely stiff, sitting there as if unable to move. He has conducted follow-up investigations after this case and dug deeper into the insider stories, going further than the police. Du Lifeng's face finally showed some gloom. That project wasn't a secret. We also went through multiple validations, and the project's safety was approved by an expert panel. Even the government departments approved it otherwise. Government departments have good intentions, but does good intention always lead to good actions? Lin Zaiasu said. Good intentions do not necessarily lead to good actions. No matter how strict the risk control measures are, they are ultimately implemented by humans at each key point, and people can be bribed. Do you think the conclusions reached by the expert panel are definitely objective and fair? What if some key figures are biased? This is not an issue we should be discussing, Du Lifeng said. Indeed, that's why I said this is just speculation. What if? Lin Zaiasu leaned forward slowly, his voice lowered a bit. What if Li Yufeng was your man, Boss Du? Then her 3 major doubts would all be resolved. It also explains why you sent money to Liu Dong, having him drive me out of Fengcheng because I inadvertently messed up your grand plan, and you also worried I might disrupt your new plans. Li Yufeng originally couldn't have accessed the latest type of P39, but Du Lifeng, as a company owner focusing on genetic pharmaceutical research, could he not get it? Li Yufeng originally couldn't have accessed an antidote. Could Du Lifeng's research team possibly have already developed it? Li Yufeng using this new type of drug to empty the assets of the billionaire Wang Changfa is somewhat idealistic, but what if her goal wasn't to drain his assets but just to force his compliance? That's a different outcome. Think about it, Wang Changfa himself was already under tremendous pressure from various aspects. At this time, addicted to drugs, getting deeper into a vortex others created, could he resist? Eventually sliding down a slippery slope is foreseeable. Du Lifeng's face finally turned genuinely dark. Detective Lin Yu. Lin Zaiasu laughed heartily, interrupting. His hand gently raised. Boss Du, we had a prior agreement. This is just a deduction. If it's right, don't be upset. If it's wrong, just think of it as a story. Everyone was left dumbfounded. Chapter 60. Chapter 60. The Trap That Was Dug. Du Lifeng gently exhaled a long breath. Your story is not pleasant to the ear. I have things to do. Please leave. That was an outright order to leave. Be it Lin Zaiasu or Zhou Mei, both ended up with the polite welcome turning into being swept out the door. But did Lin Zaiasu's face show any sign of disappointment? He smiled faintly as he stood up, even stretching out his hand, intending to shake hands with Du Lifeng in farewell. Unfortunately, Du Lifeng did not see him, and so the handshake was avoided. After their departure, Du Lifeng watched from the window. Their car sped out of the factory grounds, and Du Lifeng's face darkened. The wind blew past, and Du Lifeng's slick-back hair fluttered slightly as he slowly turned his head. This person is a bit frightening. His secretary behind him said indifferently, what you should focus on is not whether he is frightening but why he wants to show how frightening he is. A warning shot, Du Lifeng said. Or perhaps he has the same intentions as I do. Go on, said Du Lifeng. In just a few sentences, another fact was revealed that nobody else would have thought of. This secretary was definitely not an ordinary secretary. Because at this moment she was sitting on the sofa, while Du Lifeng, the boss, was standing by her side. The reasoning he spoke of fits perfectly together, but he lacks evidence, said the secretary, Little Juan. Under normal circumstances, what should we do? Sever the chain of evidence. Li Yufeng has been arrested, and due to the complexity of the case, the police have detained her for 15 days. As long as Lin Ziasu's narrative is accepted by the police, they will surely employ various interrogation methods to break through. Once Li Yufeng speaks out, the police will have grounds to investigate Dell Company thoroughly. Therefore, the ideal method is to use extraordinary measures to kill her. This was Du Lifeng's explanation for cutting off the chain of evidence. Little Juan said, this is the trap he has set for us. Du Lifeng furrowed his brows slightly. Did he throw out this story today in order to make us kill Li Yufeng? What else could it be? Do you think he's just bored? He has no evidence at hand. Even if he suspects us, he can't investigate us formally. But as soon as we dare to enter the detention center and kill Li Yufeng, we will run headlong into his strongest skill, detection. Then you had better believe that he will find a way to reveal the chain of evidence behind any assassination. A fine layer of sweat appeared on Du Lifeng's forehead. Just now, his heart had been in turmoil, and he had already fallen into the vortex of assassinating Li Yufeng and severing the chain of evidence. He had only considered how to kill her without leaving any trace. Yet he had not thought that this was precisely the back door, left intentionally by Lin Ziasu. So scheming. The door was gently tapped. Both individuals in the room were startled, and Du Lifeng sat down, while the secretary Little Juan stood up, walked to the door and opened it. Outside the office there was no outsider, just the driver Dongzi. Sister Juan, there's something I've thought about for a long time and still feel is very wrong, Dongzi said. What? When Lin Ziasu shook hands with me just now, his strength was extraordinary, Dongzi said. Little Juan's eyes at that moment suddenly grew deep and still. Also, after shaking hands, he plucked one of my hairs. Little Juan's body shook. He plucked one of your hairs, are you sure? 100% sure. The handshake was just a cover. Plucking the hair was his real intention. It was precisely because of this move that I judged his actual combat capability to be no less than mine. This has become serious. Little Juan let out a gentle breath, her eyes infinitely profound. On Fengcheng Avenue, near the Southgate Bridge. The wind of May swept across Yishui River, also stirring the weeping willows on the riverbank. Everything was so beautiful, so peaceful. The car drove along the riverside slowly. Inside the vehicle, Jo May's expression was very serious until finally, she let out a breath gently. What are the chances that your story just now is possible? When I first entered Dell Company, I believed there was only a 50% chance, but now it's 80%. If it really is as you say, haven't we made a naive mistake today? Have we startled the snake by beating the grass? Lin Ziasu smiled faintly. Startling the snake by beating the grass is synonymous with a rookie mistake in police terms, but in my dictionary, sometimes it is actually a clever move. What do you mean? Think about it. If it really was them, what would they do upon suddenly hearing this story? Images of past cases flashed through Jo May's mind. Two possibilities. One is to kill Li Yufeng, the other is to kill us. Then what? They get away scot-free, leaving no trace. Jo May's eyes suddenly lit up. Is this the trap you've set for them? Yes, Li Yufeng's life is not worth much. Sorry, you can't say that, but I can. If we can exchange her life for ironclad evidence of catching the big fish, I personally think it's worth it. You're underestimating the enemy. If he really is capable of producing genetic poisons, even antidotes, the power behind him is unimaginable. Even if he killed Li Yufeng in detention, we might not be able to trace this chain. There are thousands of ways to kill, but to say there are absolutely no flaws, that does not exist in theory. So you weren't underestimating the enemy, you were just too confident, Zhou Mei said. Did you get any other gains? Yes, this is the biggest gain of the trip. Lin Ziasu's hand lightly lifted, and on his fingertip a strand of hair. Zzzt. The car raced 10 meters forward, then stopped. Zhou Mei's gaze was firmly fixed on the strand of hair. Whose hair is it? This is the hair of the gift giver, Dongzi. Zhou Mei's brows furrowed tightly. Dongzi, the driver and bodyguard, his hair. This is no ordinary hair. It contains a very special essence qi. If you have a genetic test agent in the car, you might as well do an on-site test. You suspect he's one of the genetic people. I'm almost certain he's one of the genetic people. Zhou Mei's hand moved, opening a panel in front of the car, inside which was a small pack with 3 test tubes. Ever since the genetic people began to appear in the world, these police officers have carried these reagents with them. Why? Genetic people are a highly sensitive group. These individuals exceed the limits of ordinary people and are the most uncontrollable element in the police enforcement process. Thus, the case of genetic people kidnapping children directly alarmed Qianlong. It has become a conventional practice in police investigations. Any case involving genetic people is escalated to a higher level, taken over by higher authorities. Beat cops can't handle genetic people. A specialized department will take charge. The hair was split into 2. Half of it was placed into the test tube, and the color of the clear liquid inside the tube slowly changed to blue. Zhou Mei's heart trembled violently. As expected, he's a genetic person. Little Sue, we need to report this immediately. No, Lin Ziasu stopped her. No. A mysterious light shone in Lin Ziasu's eyes. Why don't you think about what Du Lifeng would do after he knows I plucked one of this driver's hairs? Anything to do with genetic people is more sensitive than anything else. He might really kill us. Zhou Mei's nose began to sweat. What if he knew? But it wouldn't be so easy for him to kill me. He would run. Leave Fengcheng immediately, break off the chain, and even if the provincial office sent people, they would certainly not be able to find him. So, little Sue, we can't discuss this. We must report to the higher-ups immediately. Zhou Mei was anxious. What if I said, the core point of all the drama today is to force him to run? Zhou Mei looked at him, speechless. Why is it that working with him always overturns the police's usual procedures? Stirring the grass to scare the snake, something the police greatly avoided, he would use casually. The police feared the key suspects would run, yet he made them run. Zhou Mei, the land of Fengcheng is small, but the world's events are vast. Some things you see as titanic, but when placed in the great chessboard of the world, they are just insignificant pawns. I understand the principle, but don't get tangled up, just listen to me, Lin Ziasu concluded decisively. Zhou Mei hesitated for a while, then nodded lightly. You want him to run because you plucked his hair, a hair that most people wouldn't even notice. In fact, I was close at hand, watching all the time and didn't notice your action. Could it be possible that he didn't notice at all? Are you perhaps performing a play for the blind? Ordinary people would not notice, but he will, Lin Ziasu said, because he is a genetic person, and this strand of hair is connected to the essence qi and spirit throughout his body. After plucking the hair, I noticed his reaction. He was aware. Zhou Mei shook her head gently. I'm not sure if I want to work with you in the future. Working on cases with you is always refreshing, but it also always makes me feel like a fool. Don't be discouraged. You're also better than me in some areas. For example, you can stay up late, your eyes gleam with a strong sense of honor at the sight of the police badge. You are devoted to your duty, and even though it's incredibly tiring to run around, you do it without any complaints. Zhou Mei made a sour-faced expression. You want to say I'm dumb, just say it. Who says you're dumb? By choosing me among the vast crowd, you are the cleverest. I'm responsible for handling complex situations. You're responsible for handling me, and the brain cells I use up are all transformed into the glittering stars on your shoulders. I'm done with you. Let's go. Zhou Mei started the accelerator and drove towards the detective agency. The gates of the detective agency were shut tight. Rulan isn't back yet. I've already told you, she's not coming back tonight. You said she went out on a case. When did you say she wouldn't be back all night? Zhou Mei said. Looks like tonight we'll be together. Tonight, according to their initial analysis. Du Lifeng might have people out to kill them. Kill Li Yufeng, kill them, or target both. These were all options for the opponent. Of course, if they were smart enough, they probably wouldn't resort to such drastic measures. But who could guarantee that Du Lifeng wouldn't act rashly in the heat of the moment? Chapter 61. Chapter 61. The fish took the bait. Lin Zaiasu did not refuse her personal protection, because he also couldn't guarantee what choice Du Lifeng would make. The bait had been cast. Whether the fish would bite, no one knew. Zhou Mei was thinking of protecting him. He was also thinking of protecting her. They just needed this one night, and by tomorrow morning he would know Du Lifeng's final choice. So tonight, there would be a switch of personnel in the detective agency. As the sun set and night fell, Lin Zaiasu and Zhou Mei strolled along the street and then entered the detective agency, closing the main door from the outside, signaling that the night mode was in operation. Across the street in a grocery store, a middle-aged auntie watched their departing figures, her expression lively, as she picked up the phone to call her son. "Son, it's time for you to start dating. Can you figure out if someone's suitable from home? The key point is you need to date. Look at the detective agency across from me. They've had another woman stay overnight. I'm telling you, finding someone to sleep with is crucial." "What? I should send you money. You want to spend 20,000 a month to find women. That young detective over there, did he ask his mother for money? Don't use being broke as an excuse. Can't you earn it yourself?" "Why can he?" After a bout of chastisement, full of examples for comparison, the trivial matter of Lin Zaiasu bringing Zhou Mei upstairs to sleep had turned him into the standard template of someone else's child. All that could be said was, it is hard to be a parent in this world. After going upstairs, Zhou Mei pushed open Miao Ruolen's room to take a quick glance. It looked casual, but don't forget, she was a cop. Her eyesight might not be as miraculous as Lin S, but she had her focus. Someone had slept in the bed, and alone at that. This detail was crucial. Then she entered Lin Zaiasu's room. Someone was sleeping on Lin Zaiasu's bed as well, and also alone. A cursory glance at the two rooms seemed to yield a conclusion. If the two people from the detective agency weren't in the habit of sleeping separately after handling their business, then the two probably still had a clean relationship. "I heard you've developed a bad habit of staying up all night recently. Tonight, I'll give you a full night to get some proper sleep." Lin Zaiasu pointed to the bed. "Get on." Zhou Mei hesitated slightly. "It might not be safe tonight." "Don't worry, I'm 99% sure they won't come." "What if they do?" "Even if that happens, the person who comes will not be someone you can handle. Staring out the window with wide eyes won't be much different from sleeping with your eyes closed." "That's quite a demeaning statement, but why do I still sense a bit of concern?" Zhou Mei blinked. "Now you know I treat you well, right? So how about getting your mom to reduce the rent?" Zhou Mei's eyes widened suddenly. You. Come on, do you think I'm a detective for nothing? Not even knowing who rented out the place?" Lin Zaiasu said. "When you found that great shop location for me with just one phone call, and the landlord was so easy to talk to, I thought she had taken a fancy to either me or Miao Ruolan and was planning to arrange a benefit for her silly son or old daughter. So I did a little digging. Without investigation, I would not have realized, and then I found out that I almost missed your kindness. It turns out the house is actually yours." Zhou Mei gave him a sidelong glance. "You already said my mom is easygoing and the rent is already low. You still want me to lower it?" All right, no reduction it is. Happy now, go to sleep." Zhou Mei handed over her phone and charger. "Charge this up for me." The charger on the bedside table was already occupied by Lin Zaiasu, who looked around for another outlet. Zhou Mei said, "There's another socket behind the desk." This confirmed it. The house was indeed hers. She knew it well, even the sockets hidden by the desk. Zhou Mei lay down, took off her jacket but not the clothes inside, and even her gun remained under the covers. She occupied a small space, lying against the wall, leaving a large space on the outside. As a girl, of course, she couldn't actively invite him onto the bed, but as long as it wasn't too pretentious, he'd probably get onto the bed himself. Tonight, overall, had nothing to do with romance. It was just a cohabitation or shared bed due to special circumstances. If it were just for sleeping, any room on the second floor would do. But tonight, there was a potential assassination threat. Only by being together could they look out for each other. Therefore, though there were 3 rooms, they could only squeeze into one. Zhou Mei fell asleep quickly. Lin Zaiasu didn't sleep. He turned off the main light and set the desk lamp to its lowest setting. He moved silently to the window and sat cross-legged. Ancient martial, the more he practiced, the more addictive it became. Why? With every practice session, there was progress. With the assistance of his sea of consciousness silver fish, the ambiguous meridians became a visible grid through his inner vision. What was most difficult for others, the sensing of meridians for him was like seeing with the naked eye. So his breakthrough of the meridians was as simple as eating beans. In just over 10 days, he had cleared the body's 2 major vessels, the 10 major meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians. This even Ryulen didn't know. Why? Because Lin Zaiasu himself knew how filthy the stuff expelled from his body was, and Ryulen was the kind of person who pounced to wash his clothes whenever he changed them, so every time he meditated, he would take off all his clothes. But not tonight. Tonight, with Jo Mei lying on the bed, if he stripped down completely, and the young girl opened her eyes and asked, "What are you doing?" How would he respond? That was something not even a river could wash away. Forget it, it's just clothes, let them get dirty. Lin Zaiasu began another major project to open up the meridians within his body. The project concerned the minor meridians. Within the human body there are 2 primary, 10 major, and 8 extraordinary meridians that ordinary people understand. But in fact, there are countless minor meridians. Where are these minor meridians? All over the body. When you scratch your arm with a hair, you feel it, don't you? How is that sensation transmitted? Through the peripheral endings of the nerves, which are also minor meridians. The rejuvenation skill states that there are numerous meridians which can freely combine. Wherever they combine, there will be miraculous effects. This statement gave Lin Zaiasu quite a shock, and he thought, what if I open up all the meridians throughout my body and form channels for the true chi flow? Once the highway is completed, the stage for various combinations will also be set. In the future, if I want to pay special attention to a certain part of the body, I just need to let the true chi flow through these already established channels. Won't that save trouble? This could be ambition, or it could also be described as laziness. Too lazy to contemplate the routing issue, better to get the infrastructure right first, and as for later, let the true chi run wild wherever it pleases. The true chi flowed within the body, and the slight pain evoked a term called pain yet pleasure. Time flew by quickly. Fengcheng gradually quieted down, and in the silence, the pale light of dawn started showing in the east. Lin Zaiasu opened his eyes and inwardly cursed. He got up and headed to the bathroom. Water trickled as he used the shower gel repeatedly. Finally clean, he picked up his clothes to continue washing. Everything tidied up, the day had already brightened. Lin Zaiasu, feeling refreshed, put on clean clothes and opened the bathroom door, only to see Jo Mei sitting up, staring blankly at the other half of the large bed. That half of the large bed was untouched. People like them could tell at a glance whether someone had slept on a bed or not. "Did you sleep on the floor last night?" Jo Mei asked. "Now you know I'm a man of my word. Remember to call me Lin Junzi from now on," Lin Zaiasu said. "PSSH, a gentleman just because you slept on the floor. Have you heard the saying, as long as one's intentions are pure, monks and nuns can share a pillow? The fact that you didn't dare to get on the bed just proves that your intentions aren't pure." "Damn it," Lin Zaiasu said. "With that said, it seems I must get onto the bed, make some room inside." "I'm off to work, the whole bed's yours." Jo Mei leaped down and ran for the door. As she reached the door, Jo Mei's cheeks were still flushed. Behind she heard a voice. "Lend me your car for a few days." Jo Mei shook her head. "Lending money is fine, but a car, I never lend that to anyone other than my close girlfriends. Bye." "You only have 8,000 in your account, what's there to lend? Leave the car keys." Jo Mei turned around, sizing him up. "Are you serious?" "Serious." "Why do you need the car?" "Because I don't have a driving license. I probably wouldn't be able to rent a car. Can only ask friends to lend me one." Jo Mei's eyes widened. Not having a driving license is a reason to borrow a car. Shouldn't that be a reason not to lend one? But she is no ordinary person. Her eyes gradually settled. "What on earth are you planning to do?" "Last night nobody came to assassinate us, which proves our prediction was correct. Dongzi has theoretically fled. You want to chase after him. What else? Why else would I have made him run? Let's go together." "No, you can't be involved in this journey." Jo Mei slowly opened her small bag, holding the keys with a conflicted heart. He alone going after him, and the other party is a genetic person. No one knows where he has gone. No one knows if it's back to a genetic people's lair. If that's the case, it wouldn't matter if it was just him or her. or if they dragged the whole criminal investigation team along, they would likely be facing imminent death. Little Sue, you can't be so rash, I'm serious. Why don't we discuss it with Captain Zhang first? It's too late for that. Lin Ziyasu's hand extended gently, taking the keys directly from her palm. Don't worry, I won't break any traffic laws. Is this about you breaking the laws or not? We're discussing the fate of your head. Then you should be even more at ease. I have my trump card. The voice came from downstairs. By the time Joe May got to the door, the car that was stopped outside had already started and blended into the traffic flow. Joe May raised her hand and pressed it lightly against her forehead. I must be crazy, handing my car over to someone who doesn't even have a driver's license, and he's off to pursue an extremely dangerous genetic person. You have a trump card. What kind of trump card do you have? It's not like you inherit ancient martial arts just because you've kept company with an ancient martial inheritor. Besides, as far as I've observed, you two didn't even sleep together. Still, he does seem to have some skills. Like when Huang San and his men ambushed him in the alley, and he laid them down effortlessly. And like yesterday, when he silently plucked a hair from the genetic person's head, a move so swift that even she, attentive and close at hand, couldn't see clearly. Chapter 62. Need to reevaluate. Could it be that the young man she shared a room with has really mastered ancient martial arts? With these complex thoughts, Joe May pulled down the shutter of the detective agency and walked back to the criminal investigation team. It took 20 minutes to reach the destination, and she headed straight to Captain Zhang's office on the top floor. Captain Zhang was clearly having pulled an all-nighter in the office again. His eyes were still red, with stubble encircling his chin. He was tilting his neck, using a razor to fiercely battle the stubborn, wildly growing beard. As soon as he saw Joe May enter, Captain Zhang threw away his razor, rubbed his chin, and burst into hearty laughter. Joe May, you've made another great merit. Brilliantly done. What? Li Kaiyuan has been captured. Joe May's eyes suddenly brightened. Li Kaiyuan was the person she had reported to the special case group yesterday. The information was true. Captain Zhang was extremely delighted. Li Kaiyuan, to think he had such a move planned in advance, who would have thought? You actually found this clue. It seems you really deserve that police star on your shoulder to shine. He really returned to the country as an overseas Chinese named Zhang Jiayue 7 years ago and started a farm in Jiangcheng, and even found a wife and had a son. Yes, not only is his identity complete, but his image has also totally changed. Wearing glasses, sporting a slick-back hairdo, he's totally transformed into a cultivated gentleman. The team members had him surrounded and almost failed to recognize him. It is imaginable without this accurate piece of information, he really could have continued to evade the law. The overseas Chinese identity was a trap he had set 7 years ago, a meticulous and secret dual identity, unknown to anyone, even Brother Hu. In the general public's perception, fugitives like them should be hiding in remote mountains and forests, yet he did the opposite by becoming the legitimate owner of a farm near the provincial city. And he now had an overseas Chinese identity that all the people around were familiar with. How did you discover this clue? Captain Zhang asked the most crucial question. Joe May exhaled softly. There's no point in hiding it from you. This clue was given to me by someone else. Lin Ziyasu. Yes, Joe May said. Captain Zhang, let's not talk about this for now. I have to report another major event from yesterday afternoon to you. Joe May reported in detail to the captain about the events at Dell Company. Captain Zhang only heard half of the deduction before his face had already turned stern. Li Yufeng's case was filled with suspicions from the beginning, and several meetings had been held at the Bureau for these issues. Innumerable analyses and a multitude of hypotheses were made. But no one had really solved this puzzle. And now a nearly perfect answer lay before them. With his many years of criminal investigation experience, he could almost lock it down. This was indeed the ultimate answer to this difficult problem. The thought made him more excited. His heartbeat accelerated and a hint of rosiness appeared on his face. Where is he? Call him up, let's have a good talk. He's gone after Dongzi. What, he's pursuing him alone. Does he have a death wish, this damn kid? Captain Zhang, the reason I was in such a hurry to report to you today is because of this, Joe May said. My car is equipped with a tracking device. Let's lock onto his location immediately. Be ready to contact the local police at any moment. In case of any issues, the top priority is to ensure his safety. Good, activate the tracker. On a computer ahead, Jo May began to operate. Suddenly, she was stunned. The computer screen was covered in static. The tracker is gone, he's removed it. Captain Zhang's face changed. How is that possible? He doesn't even know where my tracker is installed, and seeing as the tracking device is integrated, even if it were taken apart and thrown outside the car, there should be a signal. This is clearly the work of a professional job. Jo May's cheeks flushed red. What the hell is he playing at? Captain Zhang looked at her reddened cheeks. It seems that this little detective has exceeded our understanding. He is extremely proficient in mechanics and electronics to a professional level. Captain Zhang, you still have time to discuss this. What should we do now? Jo May said. He is doing this for our case, it's not even his duty. If something were to happen to him because he was helping us with our case. Don't panic, let me say a couple of things, Captain Zhang said. First, his abilities need to be reevaluated. With such skills, he won't be easily in danger anywhere in the world. With that, Jo May felt considerably more relieved. Captain Zhang continued. Second, the fact that he removed the tracker shows that he is extremely cautious. With such a cautious approach to facing the enemy, I can't think of any situation that could cause him fatal harm. Jo May exhaled softly. Indeed, Captain Zhang had emphasized 2 points, ability and attitude. A person with capability and a cautious attitude seems genuinely not someone to worry about. Her mind at ease, she let the matter rest for the time being. You look in good spirits today, had a good sleep last night. Captain Zhang's words pierced into her ears. Jo May's heart swayed lightly. Had a full night's sleep. Haha, if you ever feel too drained, I'll give you a day off to sleep in the detective agency, and the next day you'll be full of energy, said Lin Ziasu with a chuckle. Captain Zhang, cut it out with those jokes. Jo May glared at Chief Zhang. It's just a joke to help you relax, Chief Zhang said with a light smile. Jo May also smiled lightly, shaking her head. You're telling me to relax, but I just can't. I'm worried that after his trip, I'm going to get a whole bunch of speeding tickets. Really? Really? You're asking me if it's true. Do you know how fast he was going on that crappy road in Jinshan? 120. I wouldn't be surprised if he sped up to 220 on a flat road. Jo May said. Captain Zhang, may I ask weakly, can we get reimbursed for the fines? Yes. Leaving Nancheng and heading to Yingshan County is a national road. After the expansion of expressways, this national road has become quite deserted. Although it still maintains its width and smoothness, it pales in comparison to expressways. Thus, the wealthy, people with urgent matters, or those with status rarely travel this route. Lin Ziasu drove Jo May's car on this road. Because his guess had proven correct, Du Leifeng's driver, Dongzi, had driven away in the middle of the night, taking this very route. The car he was driving had come out of an underground garage, covered in dust, presumably having not been on the road for a long time. When Dongzi got into the car, he was wearing gaudy denim clothes and a large gold chain, with a green dragon tattoo on his arm. His entire appearance couldn't be further from that of a security guard for a corporate boss. Such a disguise, unless Lin Ziasu had him tightly tracked from the source, would have made him nearly unrecognizable if they casually crossed paths. Modern society's disguise technique isn't necessarily limited to changing one's face. A change in clothing style can divert attention just as well. Just one disguise and one escape. The message it sent to Lin Ziasu was clear. There was a big issue with Du Leifeng. Genetic people are extremely sensitive in modern society because the cost of genetic transformation is astronomically high. So genetic people are usually an exclusive privilege of the wealthy. And not all wealthy people would choose this path, since it carries immense unknown risks relating to gene rejection and gene mutation. Why would the rich who are living well plant a time bomb in their own bodies? Hence, the wealthy who opt for genetic transformation are typically those with severe health issues, confirmed by modern medicine as having no chance of living a normal life. If one can't live well anyway, why not take the gamble? So they choose genetic transformation. This is the case for ordinary genetic people. Another kind of genetic people is artificially created for special purposes, usually by criminal organizations. Qianlong also has genetic transformation, which is for a special purpose too, but it's more because they have no choice. As criminal methods evolve and enemies possess non-human capabilities, Normal law enforcers can't suppress these people, and therefore, new era law enforcers created through genetic transformation are needed to control the national situation. This is what's meant by the saying, "For every magic rises a foot, the Tao rises 10 feet." The height of Tao is due to the height of demon. If Tao isn't formidable, it can't suppress demon. Hence, genetic transformation is pushed to new heights in a mutually constrained, involuntary manner. In any case, genetic people are extraordinary, each equivalent to the stack of bills of their own monetary value. Such individuals should not just be a regular boss's driver and bodyguard. The reverse is also true. If Du Lifeng employed such a bodyguard, then he couldn't be ordinary. And Du Lifeng had a keen nose for counter-surveillance. When Lin Ziaosu took one of Dongzi's hairs, he was aware that Lin Ziaosu would get it checked, and Dongzi's genetic people identity would be exposed. Once Dongzi was exposed, the situation would escalate drastically, making him instantly noticeable to Qianlong. Once Qianlong took note of him, Du Lifeng's troubles would multiply. That's why he had Dongzi change his appearance and leave overnight. As long as Dongzi ran away, even if Qianlong found him, Du Lifeng could deny all connections. Qianlong, the highest-level enforcer and the protective deity of Daxia, naturally abides by laws and wouldn't just terminate an entrepreneur creating great profits without evidence. This is the intriguing part. What kind of secret could make a billionaire with influences in both the lawful and the underworld so anxious? Right now, Lin Ziaosu had no time to ponder over Du Lifeng's affairs. There was only one thing he needed to do: to conclude his endgame strategy. To track down Dongzi. This road had no surveillance cameras, and its destination could be one out of 1,000 possibilities. Under normal circumstances, nobody could trace an ordinary vehicle that had quietly disappeared into the night with no distinctive features. However, what vehicle could elude Lin Ziaosu's pursuit? Unless it evaporated into thin air. Otherwise, under reverse time, you would eventually have a destination. Lin Ziaosu was actually not at ease, quite the contrary, he was in a bind. Chapter 63 Spy Skills. If someone drives, he can focus on reversing time with ease. However, the problem is he's driving himself, switching his view back to last night for a moment before returning to the present. It's extremely dangerous. A bad switch could lead to a head-on collision. If there's an oncoming vehicle and his vision is still stuck in the emptiness of last night, what then? One must admit, many skills are born out of necessity. Lin Ziaosu drove for dozens of miles, closing and opening his eyes as he partitioned the reverse time. Right eye on the present, left eye reversing time. This way, he suddenly felt an unbelievable sense of relief. The speed of the car noticeably increased. Dongzi sped down this national highway, filling up at the gas station ahead, and Lin Ziaosu did the same. Dongzi had lunch at a small diner near the border of Dingxi province around noon, and Lin Ziaosu ate there too. In the afternoon, Dongzi's car took a winding mountain road. He followed. At night, Dongzi's car stopped at a scenic area, where he slept in the car in the parking lot for 3 hours. Then the car started again. In fact, just 2 hours after his car started, Lin Ziaosu had already reached the spot where he slept. If he just wanted to catch up with Dongzi, speeding up would allow him to catch him in a few hours. But Lin Ziaosu wasn't in a hurry. He rented a room in the scenic area and rested comfortably overnight. Phone off, car tracker removed, he became an untraceable drop in the ocean, leisurely following behind with sightseeing as his main goal, since Dongzi couldn't possibly escape, and Dongzi himself wasn't even his target. It has to be said, having the divine skill of reversing time makes tracking a divine technique as well. Dongzi significantly slowed down in the latter half of the trip. At the western border of Dingxi province, he even stayed overnight. The next day, he even took in the views of a river from both shores in this small county town. He was like an ordinary tourist, embarking on a spontaneous trip. But as Lin Ziaosu retraced the route 8 hours later, he discovered the real reason why Dongzi was slowing down. He was checking for any followers. His demeanor appeared very normal, with a touch of satisfaction and relaxation, but his gaze was incredibly sharp. Lin Ziaosu's heartbeat quickened. He knew the destination was near. Only after confirming there was nothing amiss would Dongzi truly enter his destination. This indirectly indicates that the destination is extraordinary. Of course, Dongzi wouldn't notice the tracker, as which tracker would follow from hundreds of miles away. Thus he let down his guard and embarked on his final leg of the journey. Ahead lay a large mountain, the Yuntai Mountain Scenic Area. This scenic area, only locally recognized, is far from being developed. The local government had exhausted all means and allocated special funds for promotion, yet it barely scraped a 4A rating. A 4A scenic area is just a commonplace tourist spot. His car entered the scenic area, navigating 7 twists and turns before arriving at a farmhouse. This farmhouse, called Ziwe Villa, covered a large area with orchards above and ponds below, and 2 small buildings built against the hill. Dining isn't an issue, and it's quite nice to bring children over on weekends for fruit picking and fishing. But the eatery wasn't crowded, probably because the surrounding scenery was somewhat lacking. Here, separated by a ridge from the main Yuntai mountain area. Lin Ziyasu's car sped in, following Dongzi. But upon entering, his eyes lit up slightly as he noticed something odd. Dongzi's car had vanished. There was only one mountain road here, culminating right here. He hadn't seen Dongzi's car exit from the periphery, yet somehow, the car just disappeared into thin air. Where did it go? Lin Ziyasu reversed time and quickly found out. Last night the car had arrived under cover of darkness, entering an underground garage. Dongzi came out, entered the building on the right of the two, and never came out again. The destination is reached. Something was amiss with this farmhouse. It was flagged as a farmhouse, but the people inside were very familiar with Dongzi. Dongzi's car directly entered the underground garage. The building Dongzi entered wasn't for accommodation, but more like the private residence of the villa's owner. Even stranger, he entered a room that clearly didn't seem like a regular room and didn't come out for a full 8 hours. Moreover, from hundreds of meters away, through the heavenly Tao wisdom eye, it seemed like there wasn't anyone in the room. The car was hidden, the person disappeared, and having come from afar, he neither dined nor stayed at a hotel, just vanishing from the human world. Lin Ziyasu stopped the car, opened the door, and got out with a travel bag. "Would you like something to eat?" A middle-aged woman wearing an apron came over, asking in the local dialect. "Uh-huh. The restaurant is over there, it's all local dishes. Where are you from?" Local, the 3 words Lin Ziyasu, are also in the local dialect. He doesn't know any other dialects, but these 3 words were just spoken by the woman. "Local, did you come from the county town?" Which local dishes?" The woman began to introduce them, a lengthy narration. No one knew that Lin Ziyasu had never been exposed to the local dialect. However, endowed with super-perceptiveness, he responded to the woman with an increasing number of words. Initially with a simple to prompt more talk from her, he chose a few words he heard to form another question. It was like rolling a snowball. He managed to keep his act seamless during their first interaction without giving himself away. In the restaurant, there was a menu. He gently tapped on it with his finger, selecting a few dishes. Then he sat there waiting while sipping tea. During the wait, the conversation from the next table, also from the county town, was lively. This truly activated Lin Ziyasu's language magic. The dialects of Daxia were not too difficult to understand, similar in most aspects except for pronunciation and terminology. The animated exchange and toasts at that table rapidly advanced his command of the local dialect. This is the real horror of human Tao orchid heart. He only needed half a day to learn a completely new foreign language, let alone a dialect related to the mother tongue of Daxia. So much so that, when a waiter came over to serve dishes, he was already able to joke in the dialect with the waiter. Speaking the dialect didn't have a special significance in today's operation, but it was a test run of Lin Ziyasu's super spy skills. After the meal, Lin Ziyasu suggested staying at the inn, and the woman happily arranged a room for him, just as he expected, on the left building. The left building was newer, the right older. The left was for accommodating tourists, and the right was the ancestral home of the villa owners, where they lived themselves. This is a typical characteristic of the farmhouse. It represents an opportunity that local farmers seized to transition into a new era. Originally, this place was barren. Now, with people overworked and in pursuit of spiritual pleasures, traveling everywhere. Opening a farmhouse added dining and lodging facilities, transforming locals into farmhouse owners who began to manage their businesses. If you talk about making money, that's a stretch, but people need to make a living. Surviving is not an option, right? All this was what the middle-aged woman told him. fully in line with the living conditions of the locals. But once Lin Zaiasu entered the guest room separated from others, he noticed something. There was surveillance. Very tight surveillance. It was installed inside the electric sockets, and they were of Avery advanced type that wouldn't reflect light even if detected with specialized equipment. Too bad, Lin Zaiasu had already identified it clearly beforehand. The miraculous capabilities of his heavenly Tao wisdom eye are beyond ordinary comprehension. Lin Zaiasu showed no signs of detection. Like an ordinary tourist, every step he took fit the typical self-driving tour itinerary. He put down his luggage, boiled some water, sat on the bed, played with his phone. Ryulan had called, but Lin Zaiasu did not respond. Then he went downstairs and leisurely strolled around. Standing outside the villa, he took pictures of the distant scenery of Yuntai Mountain scenic area, came beside the farmhouse to look at the domestic chickens raised there. Everything was normal until he arrived at a nearby hill. This hill was about 4 or 5 meters higher than the farmhouse. About 50 meters away, Lin Zaiasu finally saw the window of the room he wanted to observe. The window had thick curtains drawn the night before, but today they were opened. Perhaps the villa owner felt that drawing curtains during the day would arouse suspicion. With the curtains open, Dongzi's entry into this room and all subsequent scenes were instantly stripped bare by Lin Zaiasu in a way that was not surveillance but almost more intrusive. He was truly shocked. All the mysteries were completely unraveled. The reason why Dongzi didn't come out was that he was no longer inside the room. The reason the building was constructed leaning against the mountain, because its setup was similar to the Lao Mountain Genetic People Station. There was more than meets the eye inside this mountain. Behind the room's wall, which could be opened, was a massive cave. The house was authentically old because it was built leaning against the mountain. It wasn't a hotel. It was the ancestral home of the owners, generally inaccessible, and even if entered, one could only see an authentic old house, definitely not the carefully transformed cave behind the walls. Even if the most trusted person entered the room and opened the cave, the thick curtains outside secluded everything. Once the curtains were pulled back, it still looked like a wall. Defense was undeniably clever. But Lin Zaiasu's reverse time was simply too divine, completely disregarding the laws of physics, using the law of time to recreate the scene at that time. This was beyond what even the most advanced monitoring techniques could achieve. Lin Zaiasu showed no unusual interest in this special room. He continued to enjoy the scenery. At least to the few people in the villa, he appeared as normal as anyone. But to Lin Zaiasu's eyes, there was something peculiar about these people. Chapter 64 Ant Nest. For instance, take the owner of the villa who is watering plants with a hose. To Lin Zaiasu, he is definitely worth pondering over. He knows that when the water in the hose reaches this level of intensity, the force would be significant. Most people would need to hold on with considerable strength, but this middle-aged man seems to handle it effortlessly. For instance, there is an old man carrying a bundle of firewood who looks frail and has his hands covered in calluses. However, upon closer inspection, these calluses were not formed from chopping wood for long periods. The parts of the hands that wear from holding a wood-cutting axe are different from those from holding a dagger. For instance, the young man sitting outside playing with his smartphone looks different from the middle-aged man. If judged solely by appearances, this family that appears to span 3 generations might have a lineage so twisted it's impossible to trace their true ancestry. There are also a few others who seem to have grown accustomed to life on the farm, all carrying the distinct aura of rural folk. But if one possesses the heavenly Tao wisdom eye, one could see the seeds of doubt sown within them. If his eyes are not mistaken, if his sixth sense hasn't deceived him. These people, all of them, are genetic people. The situation is dire. He practices ancient martial arts, but when it comes to actual combat, who is superior? The genetic people or an ancient martial inheritor? Apart from shaking hands with Dongzi, signaling a message, I, Lin Zaiasu, am very powerful. It is not wise to kill and silence me. He has no record of direct combat. Therefore, he has no intention of gambling on this. Fortunately, there's absolutely no need for him to gamble on this. Knowing how to leverage others is the fundamental reason why a clever person can live to the age of 80. The setting sun dips in the west, and Yuntai Mountain slowly disappears into the twilight. In the distant sea, atop an island, a high mountain peak piercing the sky like a sharp sword. As the sun has just sunk below the horizon, the stars illuminate a small courtyard. Red flowers and green plants within the garden, clean and elegant. A swing sways gently in the sea breeze. On the swing, a beautiful woman with flowing hair. Perhaps only when she's sitting on the swing is she truly relaxed, for she is Sister Chang, a person whose hair cannot roam free in the great thousand world. Why? Her hair is a deadly weapon. Every strand carries lethal poison. Opposite her, there's another woman. She looks petite and curvy, possibly a scrupulous diet follower. But if you examine her closely, you'd know that the idea to maintain a figure, one must control what they eat and exercise often, is complete nonsense. Because she has never restrained her mouth. Even now, in this small yard after dinner, she still stuffs her mouth with grapes. And she has something to say. Sister Chang, have you deciphered that mutated orchid from Lao Mountain last time? Is it possible to create a genetic splice with grapes? Sister Chang is at a loss for words. You're still thinking about making grapes as big as watermelons. Think about it. If grapes were that big, could I finish off 3 big plates each time I come here? Just give me one and it's sufficient. You wouldn't have to guard against me like guarding against a thief. You really can't grasp the main point. You think I'm guarding against you because I can't bear to part with these grapes. I'm afraid that you, who knows not of moderation, will eat up my genetically cultivated grapes. The mention sparks Xinyu's interest. Hey, why don't you let me try one of those genetic grapes? Just one. Scram, I've already said, even I haven't fully analyzed the genes in these grapes. You dare to try it, aren't you afraid of a sudden genetic mutation inside your body? A mutation would be even better. There are many things I fear. I'm scared of breaking rules, scared of deductions, scared of that old man from the reserve chapter scouring through files, but I'm not scared of genetic mutations. Sister Chang shakes her head lightly. I'm done with you. Everyone is so cautious with genetic experiments, but to you, it's like a grand adventure. I promised your grandfather that I would keep you alive, so I'm not going to join you in your craziness. Tusk, does everything you promise always happen? You also promised to find me a man to test the waters, did you? My goodness, that's even crazier, Sister Chang responds. Let's not talk about something so outrageous. I asked you to check up on Lin Zaiasu, did you? I did. Ever since his name was registered in the business system, I've been following your instructions and checked up on him. I must say, this guy has made quite a splash in the civilian world. He started playing his hands in Fengcheng. Go on. Charge someone 3,000 for finding a dog. Demanding 100,000 for catching a cheater. Tell me, is that something a person should do? This kid is solely fixated on money. Inquiring indirectly, it seems the kid has been behaving, honestly walking down another path. Now he's frantically saving for a dowry. With the way he's scrupulously saving money, he'll have enough soon, and maybe he'll actually find a wife. After all, in this utterly degenerate world, as long as one has money, not to mention a somewhat handsome scoundrel like him, even an old man who can't prop up his little brother with concrete can still find a bride. Keep calling him a scoundrel. Has he done anything scoundrel-like? Chang Yi asks casually. Xinyu gets fired up, jumping up. During such an intense battle that day, he even didn't forget to take a jab at my grandmother. Just from that one instance, isn't it enough to prove his rogue nature? Sister Chang'e looks at her with an expression of teeth-aching annoyance. Do you plan to hold on to this folly forever? Reading her expression, Xinyu adds, if we must have proof, his actions have already provided it. He's been overly intimate with a girl named Miao Rulan at the detective agency, fireworks erupting daily. Moreover, there seems to be signs of fireworks spilling outside. There's also a policewoman named Jo Mei. They've been seen walking and shopping together, with indications that their next firework display might ignite under the weeping willows of the Yishui waterfront. Jo Mei, Cheng Yi is faintly startled. That recent 5.16 major case in Fengcheng, does she have anything to do with it? Are you focused on Jo Mei? What does Jo Mei amount to? You should be paying attention to Miao Rulan. Do you know who Miao Rulan is? An ancient martial inheritor. One day I will definitely have a fight with her. Sister Chang'e looks surprised. Why do you want to fight her? See, you're thinking in the wrong direction again, aren't you? You think I'm competing with her to get beaten up. I just want to verify this so-called ancient martial arts, who's stronger, us genetic people or them. Suddenly, Sister Chang'e lifts her hand quickly, grabbing a pair of glasses from the coffee table. With the glasses on, the scene before her seems to transform. Among the star-studded sky, ripples spread out in circles. Daxia Country, Dingxi Province, Jiang County, Yuntai Mountain Scenic Area. It probably took only 5 seconds to precisely locate the caller's position. The caller, Little Sue. The swing under Chang Yi's buttocks suddenly stopped, and her hair floating midway also slowed down abruptly. This was an eerie scene. Xinyu sprang up. Who's calling? It's him. Damn Lin Xios. Chang Yi waved her hand gently, and Xinyu instantly shut up. A smile slowly appeared on Chang Yi's face, and as she answered the phone, she said, I thought you had forgotten about me. You could be forgotten under normal circumstances, but clearly tonight is no ordinary night, came a calm and clear voice from the other end. What's the situation? Chang Yi's face suddenly changed, and she got down from the swing set. Wait there, don't do anything. We're coming right over. All right, don't worry. Chang Yi ended the call, the light flickering in her eyes. If nothing goes wrong, we've found an ant nest, and it seems like a big one. Ant nest? A specialized term. Xinyu was confused. An ant nest, he found it. How? How can an ant nest be so easy to find? How could he, an adjunct member, possibly find one? An ant nest is a secret base of foreign forces within one's own country. It's a place that Qianlong has always been committed to searching for. Many Qianlongs never find one in their whole lives. Many Qianlongs die on the route of searching. It can be said that discovering an ant nest means a great service to the country. Even for a regular Qianlong gold medal, this is a significant achievement. As a reserve, Xinyu dreams of being officially recognized. If she found an ant nest not even 88, that old immortal could keep her down. Therefore, Xinyu's greatest obsession lately has turned to finding an ant nest by any means necessary. But how cunning are those ants? Were they that easy to find? They often lay out many years of planning, creating layers of defense, all kinds of camouflage. The process of searching is itself a process of hunting and counterhunting. Tonight, this adjunct member who had already declared no chance with Qianlong actually found one. How is it possible? Why did he put in such toilsome effort? For a moment, Xinyu's brain, which normally worked quickly, seemed to freeze. Theoretically, Lin Xiaosu had completely shifted his life's path and should no longer cross paths with Qianlong, but he had put in this effort. Doesn't it mean this guy hasn't given up after all? Thinking of this, Xinyu felt a bit of excitement too. She was not one to just accept the situation as it is. When Lin Xiaosu was around, she was repeatedly suppressed by him, groped her chest, oh no, attacked her chest with a knife in battle, shone with brilliance on Lao Mountain, making the prestigious Xinyu look dim. All these were blows to her self-proclaimed strongest reserve in history. But did Xinyu comply? Hell no. She would not accept this. But a single paper decision had turned her discontent in another direction. She was dissatisfied with the judgment. Tonight, if this guy achieves a great feat and returns to the track of Qianlong, then it would be worth looking forward to. I'll use the 18 new techniques I've learned to crush you until you beg for mercy. Let's go. Reunite at Yuntai Mountain. Chapter 65. Chapter 65 Qianlong by Moonlight, Young Master Zhao. Tonight, late May. Although it's only a crescent moon, the air in the mountains is fresh, and the crescent moon also illuminates the tranquility of Ziwei Villa. Suddenly, the moon was obscured by clouds. No, not clouds. A huge flying car silently appeared above Ziwei Villa. No sound at all, just like that layer of coverage. Lin Xiaosu's eyes suddenly snapped open. With a soft humming sound, a hatch below the hovering flying car opened, and 8 enormous spiders fell at once. These spiders, huge enough to shock the world, each the size of a small car. They are not real spiders, but spider-shaped robots. 2 landed silently in the courtyard. 2 on the roof, likewise without a sound. 2 on the hillside, 1 on the left and 1 on the right. 2 in the trees, their firepower crossing with the 2 on the hillside. The lights in the main building of Ziwei Villa came on, and the middle-aged man violently pushed open the door, just to see 3 figures falling from the sky. In the middle, a man with a formidable build, his body shining with silver light. On the left, a person with flowing long hair, looking like a fairy from a dream. On the right, a figure ever-changing and elusive, appearing to fall towards the ground, yet in mid-flight vanished, seemingly blending completely into the air. The complexion of the villa's owner instantly turned extremely grim. Boom, boom, boom. The owner hurried downstairs. In this residential building, someone also ran to the window. Their exclamation, slicing through the quiet of the night sky, belonged to regular guests. 3 people exited the flying car. 2 landed, specifically Lin Ziaosu's companions from Lao Mountain, number 88 and Chang Yi. Another person, who vanished mid-flight after exiting the flying car, was naturally Xinyu, also a companion from Lao Mountain. The owner and the middle-aged woman came downstairs and ran up to number 88. Are you here to stay? Showing a strong rural sentiment, including their expression, including their clumsy standard Mandarin, no different from an ordinary farm operator. Number 88 and Chang Yi did not respond, their gaze piercing through them, looking beyond their shoulders. Behind them, a young man strolled over. They're not here to stay, they're here to take down your villa, pot and all. The voice was relaxed and carefree, naturally Lin Ziaosu. As he finished speaking, he circled around from behind the 2, facing them. Young man, what do you mean? We country folks don't understand these tricks. No need to understand, just open that room, reveal the hidden cave behind the wall, and you'll understand everything. Lin Ziaosu's hand gently lifted, pointing to a room on the 2nd floor. The owner's eyelid twitched violently, glancing in the direction of his pointing finger, his eyes suddenly undergoing a change. Since your ace is exposed, there's no need to pretend anymore, Lin Ziaosu said. Surrender or resist obstinately, make your choice. The owner abruptly looked up. At this moment, his eyes completely transformed. His pupils constricted sharply, resembling the eyes of a serpent. His hand suddenly shot out, at first appearing normal, but in the blink of an eye, the hand was covered with silvery scales and secret grids. His fingernails suddenly sprung up like blades, aiming a sudden thrust at Lin Ziaosu's throat. This speed, this eeriness, all beyond human. However, Chang Yi's gaze turned icy, as her finger made contact with his in passing. His hand was still 3 inches from Lin Ziaosu's throat. Chang Yi's finger had already touched the owner's forehead. This touch, like a drop of ink falling on shimmering mercury, just as the silver pattern on the owner's face began to emerge, not yet fully connected, was interrupted by this drop of ink at its center. The ink spreading, the silver pattern dissolved, the owner's eyes wide open, staring in astonishment at the hair of Chang Yi floating in the air. His eyes filled with perplexity. This was the poison of Chang Yi, killing or subduing at the mere thought. More effective than handcuffs. The light in front seemed to flicker. The woman leaped into the air, her movements as agile as a civet. Chang Yi's long hair suddenly rose, blocking the space above her. The woman, about to collide, suddenly her form completely changed, sticking directly to the wall behind her, and in the next instant she stretched and climbed directly onto the rooftop. This action, almost indistinguishable from a real cat, no, tens or hundreds of times more agile than a true cat. In just the blink of an eye, the woman reached the rooftop, utterly silent. At the moment when she revealed to the crowd below eyes resembling those of a ferocious cat, suddenly a figure appeared out of nowhere. Boom. A foot stomped heavily on the woman's head. The woman screamed, falling from the rooftop. From the 3-story rooftop, she managed to somersault in midair, landing accurately on all 4s with light elegance. Whoosh! Number 88 stepped forward, hand lifting and needle dropping, the sharp needle precisely inserted into her ear. The eerie green light in the woman's eyes, cat-like, slowly faded, reverting to the appearance of an ordinary woman collapsing. Boom! A window in the villa shattered. Whoosh! Another window flew open, a figure rushed towards the hillside. Chang Yi stretched out her hand, tossing a handgun to Lin Ziaosu, while she herself, with a tap of her toes, plunged into the darkness. Hiss! With a flip of her left hand, a dagger pierced the temple of a dark figure. Lin Ziaosu's hand rose, catching the handgun. Hiss! The bullet left the chamber. The bullet was aimed at the guest room ahead, and there was nothing unusual about the room at the time the bullet was fired. But in the instant the bullet cut through the air, the floor-to-ceiling window of the guest room shattered, and a figure lunged out from inside, with a black dagger in hand. This lunge was perfectly timed to collide with the bullet Lin Ziaosu had fired, hitting right between the eyebrows. This person was that young man who had been playing with his phone all day. His eyes were wide open, his face full of disbelief. Thump! He hit the ground, motionless. Little C, as brave as ever, a voice came from above, along with the sound of 2 bodies landing. Yes, a middle-aged man wearing pajamas was falling sideways, and the person who landed on his stomach, astonishingly, was Xinyu. Lin Zaiasu stared at the familiar, shimmering face from his memories, feeling a bit of a twinge in his teeth. It's not surprising you jumped down from the third floor, but what's surprising is using a genetic person as a footstool. She landed without a scratch due to the cushioning, while the genetic person used as a cushion got stepped on half to death, mouth wide open. If I'm not mistaken, he probably wishes he could curse his ancestors. Inside the guest room, true panic set in. Screaming sliced through the night sky. Whoosh! Two giant spiders leapt into the air in the courtyard, clinging to the outside of the inn's windows, as an authoritative electronic voice declared. Police operation, everyone stay put. Someone let out a half scream, abruptly cut off. Wife, don't faint on me, I told you it's a police operation. Husband, what's happened to you? In an instant, the inn was thrown into chaos. Though it was announced that it was a police operation, with giant spiders guarding the windows, staring with blood-red eyes, and speaking to you with a human voice, wouldn't you be scared? The fight lasted only moments. Xinyu took down 2, 88 finished 3, Chang Yi eliminated 2, and Lin Zaiasu shot 1. Suddenly his gaze lifted, fixed on the treetops. As soon as he saw them, his gun followed. The shot rang out. Under the gaze of his heavenly Tao wisdom eye, he clearly saw a figure abruptly roll over with unmatched agility, avoiding the bullet and disappearing behind a big tree. In just a fraction of a second, the figure suddenly reached the hillside. There were 2 large spiders on the slope, their eyes flashing red. However, it seemed as if the figure took advantage of a gap in the spider's surveillance. In the blink of an eye, he dodged past the spider's blockade. In the cover of night, his speed was faster than a leopard's. Lin Zaiasu channeled his true chi to his legs, about to unleash the ancient martial light skills he scarcely understood himself. Suddenly, an unbelievable scene unfolded before him. On the other side of the slope, a figure in white appeared. When he first appeared, he was a good 10 meters away from this leopard. But in the next instant, he was already standing beside the leopard. Slash! The dagger sliced through the night, and the leopard's head was cleaved off in midair. Blood was about to stain his snow-white clothing when he vanished again, and in the next moment appeared atop the courtyard wall. By then, the fresh blood still hadn't touched the ground. Lin Zaiasu's heart pounded. Such speed, even his heavenly Tao wisdom eye could hardly keep up. Who was this person? Clearly one of our own. Yet he seemed so out of place among the Qianlong members. Qianlong operatives either wore Qianlong armor or disguised it as ordinary clothing, whatever the style, always with the idea of aiding in battle as the basic guiding principle. For example, during the night, their clothing would be black. Their clothing would also be tight-fitting to avoid unnecessary errors. But this man was different. He was dressed in a snow-white suit with both the jacket and trousers white, while inside he wore a strikingly vibrant purple shirt, and even his shoes were white leather. The suit buttons were undone, revealing a glinting gold buckle. If I'm not mistaken, that was a globally limited edition LV belt, costing $1 million for one, and you had to be able to spend over $10 million to be eligible to order. Is this a getup for a special operation? Isn't this clearly the outfit that gets gold diggers screaming after simply stepping out of a high-end Lawrence sports car? Then looking at his face, it was a textbook rich second-generation face, gaunt with a trace of affected melancholy, eyebrows and hair meticulously groomed, and if I'm not wrong, definitely powdered. The young man stared at Lin Zaiasu. Are you Lin Zaios? Lin Zaios? He wasn't slurring his words, but clearly led astray by someone's nickname for Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu asked, and who might you be? I'm Zhao Zhen. Xinyu interjected. He's called Young Master Zhao. The Zhao pays for everything, Young Master Zhao. Zhao Zhen gingerly touched his hair. That was my youthful frivolity. Xinyu, you already made fun of me. Can you let go of those embarrassing moments? What do you mean made fun of you? Didn't I just go to the Aerospace Expo with you once and shouted, Zhao pays for everything? Xinyu said. What's embarrassing about that? Isn't that what you always did at nightclubs? Big sis, that was the Aerospace Expo. Even Prince Yabo, who says, with a piece of cloth on my head, I am the richest under the heavens, wouldn't dare to place orders lightly. You shouted it out, and people ran faster than a horse could carry them, leaving me disheveled in the wind. My dad got laughed at by his buddies for over half a year. Zhao Zhen once again plunged into despair. Lin Ziyasu's mind was filled with endless emotion. Zhao pays for everything, even he knew of this catchphrase. It referred to the sole heir of Jiangnan Group's founder, ostentatiously wealthy, who prompted revelry at every nightclub appearance. Because once drunk, he would foot all the bills. You think nightclubs are cheap? A bottle might cost tens of the thousands. The most he allegedly ever spent in one go was 7 million when he woke up the next day, but he paid it off like it was nothing. When Lin Ziyasu first heard of this legend, he took it as a fairy tale. His dorm mates pondered over it all night and ended with, "The world of the rich, the poor can never understand." This legendary figure now stood before him, and in a way that was absolutely unthinkable. Chapter 66, Black Tech. Swishing. Descended from the rooftop. The next moment, Chang Yi leaped back from the courtyard wall to Lin Ziyasu's side. "The perimeter has been cleared, let's face the core," said Agent 88, his gaze fixed on Chang Yi. Chang Yi nodded slightly, up. "Hold on, we need the boss's fingerprint and iris." Stretched out his hand, hoisted up the already poisoned boss with one hand, strode upstairs, and placed the boss's finger on the fingerprint lock to silently open the room door. Agent 88 looked around, scrutinizing the wall in front of him. "Good, it's in that position. Lift him up and keep the height," instructed Lin Ziyasu. Lifted up the boss, whose eyes were wide open, staring ahead. Lin Ziyasu walked over to the table, groped under it, and a red beam shot out from the wall, hitting the boss's eyes accurately. The red light turned green. With a light click, the wall in front of them parted, revealing a huge cavern. Agent 88's eyes lit up, his finger raised. This was the ready position. Everyone's relaxed expression disappeared simultaneously. With a pointed finger from Agent 88. The sound of wind picked up as Xinyu was the first to enter the cavern. A faint glimmer flashed across her dragon-scale armor, rendering her nearly invisible. Invisibility. Chang Yi lightly handed a pill to Lin Ziyasu. "Place it under your tongue, don't swallow it." Lin Ziyasu was moved. "You're not wearing protective gear. Avoid close combat and control from a distance." As soon as her voice fell, she stepped into the darkness. A massive cave lay ahead. A pungent smell hit them in the face. Lin Ziyasu's gaze sharpened, startled. In the darkness, 2 huge leopards appeared. Their size was comparable to Siberian tigers. Their eyes suddenly opened wide, resembling 4 green demon lanterns coming to life. Agent 88, Chang Yi, Zhao Zhen, and Xinyu had put on glasses. These glasses were dragon eye, incredibly functional beyond imagination. In absolute darkness, they could automatically switch to infrared mode, and no warm-blooded creature could escape their sight. Shiku. A dagger plunged down accurately into one of the giant leopard's necks. It was Agent 88. His moves were always accurate. A single blow was enough to finish a mutated beast as large as a tiger on the spot. And Chang Yi, her moves were fluid like a ghost in the night. With a tap of her toe, the boot released a green spike that stabbed into the giant leopard's back, its eyes glazing over in confusion, poisoned. From above, a large marten suddenly flashed. It appeared in the northeast corner, but in the next instant moved to the northwest, pouncing towards Agent 88 with metallic-like sharp claws. In silence, a white figure crossed paths with it, severing the marten's body from its head. Its blood failed to stain even a bit of Zhao Zhen. Xinyu charged ahead when suddenly, a black snake shot out like lightning from a crevice beside her. Its sharp fangs aimed at Xinyu's right arm. Xinyu's glasses were in infrared mode, highly effective against warm-blooded animals, but snakes are cold-blooded, rendering her glasses useless. However, her innate sensing power was extraordinary, akin to having a sixth sense. She lunged forward explosively. As she did, another black snake darted out from another crevice. Bang! 2 gunshots, and almost simultaneously, the heads of the 2 black snakes burst open. Lin Ziyasu had fired. 2 shots, 2 hits. In the absolute darkness, she annihilated 2 mutated black snakes that even the dragon eyeglasses couldn't detect in one fell swoop. Swishing. The white figure teleported, Zhao Zhen catching the 2 black snakes, his eyes swiftly turning toward Lin Ziyasu with a hint of surprise. Surprise was also evident in Lin Ziyasu's eyes. These mutated beasts have chips in their brains. The 2 shots just now to ordinary people would have appeared as mere sparks. They couldn't have seen the scene after the heads were shattered, but Lin Ziyasu saw it clearly. Both snakes had chips in their heads. These mutated creatures were under artificial control. Chip control over creatures was a highly advanced subject. It could even be said to be a peak in the field of biotechnological engineering. Some might say, don't genetic people who kidnap children have chips inside their brains too? If humans can be controlled, isn't it simpler to control animals? No, it's not the same level of control. Implanting chips in human brains doesn't mean their thoughts and consciousness are under someone else's control. It only means that their lives are under someone else's control. Humans must obey those controlling the chip out of fear for their lives. But when it comes to controlling animals with chips, the principle is entirely different. Animals don't fear your threats. You can't sit down with them for a meeting and sternly warn them. If the chip explodes, their brains are gone. They only follow their own neural impulses. Therefore, Lin Zaiasu immediately informed the team that the situation here was extraordinary. An organization using such dark technology for security must be approached with utmost caution. Among the four, what others thought could not be guaranteed, but as a researcher for Qianlong, Chang Yi's mind was roiling with thoughts. But in front of them, it was not the time to think too much. After turning a bend, they were met with a brutal aspect of this battle. The platform they were on belonged to a naturally formed cavern. Below rested a hidden world. Lights were shining bright, machinery buzzing, dozens of researchers in white coats sitting at their stations. In front of them computers, machine tools, ancient texts, chemical apparatus. Guards were positioned on all four platforms within the cave, wielding peculiarly large firearms that seemed effortless in their hands, indirectly confirming the possibility that these guards were likely genetic people. As soon as 88 and his comrades appeared, the guns in the hands of the three foremost guards spewed sparks, an ambush with shotguns. The shotgun blast had a wide spread, aimed directly at the cave entrance where the four intruders had entered. The intense fighting from before had obviously alerted them. They waited with ease, forming a vast web with three shotguns at the ready, anticipating their entry into the ambush zone. As the guns fired, 88 had already stepped out of the ambush zone. Xinyu vanished completely. White clothes Zhao Zhen wore a look of arrogance, chuckling in the face of the sparks, and then suddenly disappeared. A guard's head shot up 10 meters away. Absolutely no trace of his swift movement. Chang Yi suddenly reached out, planning to grab Lin Zaiasu and flee. But she grasped at thin air. Lin Zaiasu had already exited the ambush perimeter. Chang Yi leaped up, as countless bullets whizzed underneath her. With a wave of her hand, 3 black dots shot towards the massive workshop below. Boom! Explosion! No flames, just red mist. In an instant, the entire workshop was engulfed in thick red fog that obscured the lights. A strange fragrance lingered in the air. Poison, one of the researchers suddenly stood up and collapsed. There was a clatter as a table overturned, spilling yellow fluid from a glass container onto the ground, splashing onto a researcher who had already collapsed from poisoning. In moments, flesh and bone dissolved, and the person convulsed without uttering a scream. Lin Zaiasu's eyes swept over all this, his mind churning with turmoil. Chang Yi's poison was terrifying indeed. Such a vast cave, entirely shrouded by 3 poison bombs. He saw several researchers don the gas masks as quickly as they could, but they still plummeted to the ground. The poison didn't just infiltrate through breathing, it also permeated through the skin. He was familiar with this sensation, because his own skin felt strange. He was unharmed because he had an antidote pill tucked under his tongue, its essence spreading throughout his body, neutralizing any external assault. It had to be acknowledged that within this cavern, it truly was Chang Yi's home turf. Merely 3 poison bombs seemed to have resolved all the issues. But that was only a semblance. Suddenly, a pair of eyes sprang open on the cave wall. These eyes flickered with red light. It was a humanoid creature, with a somewhat non-human appearance, nestled in a crevice on the cave wall, now suddenly startled awake. With a whoosh, the creature pushed against the wall, shooting out like an arrow leaving its bow, piercing through the red fog and heading straight for number 88. Number 88 abruptly looked up, his hand wielding the dragon scale like a piercing cold star, aiming at the bizarre genetic person. The genetic person's speed was incredibly fast, his palms transforming into sharp claws, clashing head-on with the dragon scale. Boom! Number 88 was forcefully driven back 3 meters, while the genetic person pushed off the cave wall again, gaining even more speed. Number 88 turned sharply as the genetic person swept past. The claws were plunged into the rock. Number 88 turned halfway, stabbing the dragon scale into the genetic person's back. Sparks flew, and the genetic person howled, tumbling in the air, grappling with number 88 as they rolled into another cavern. Careful, it's a poisonous lizard man. That was 88's warning to his four comrades in the midst of his intense battle. The poisonous lizard man, merged with the genes of a poison lizard, covered in scale armor impervious to blades and bullets, was naturally toxic and immune to poisons. Such a creature, especially challenging to kill within the caves. Boom! The passageway below them suddenly shook violently. A poisonous lizard man had broken through the platform beneath their feet. As Xinyu flew back from a stone wall, she collided head-on with it. Die, Xinyu's form was ever-changing, and with a swift kick from seemingly nowhere, she accurately hit the head of the poisonous lizard man. However, on that human-like face with dark streaks there was no expression. Her kick seemed to have hit a steel plate. The poisonous lizard man's claws, quick as lightning, swiped at Xinyu's bosom. Xinyu cursed loudly. I are your great-granddaddy learning from Lin Zaios, of all the things to pick up. She dodged and kicked, her leg accurately hitting the poisonous lizard man's groin. Struck by this attack, the poisonous lizard man leapt down the passageway, and Xinyu vanished in a flicker, reappearing in the next moment to step on the creature as they both fell a 10-meter drop. Lin Zaiasu faced a poisonous lizard man, firing 3 shots in quick succession. Each hit its mark, but the bullets merely ricocheted off. The poisonous lizard man's claws rose, reaching for Lin Zaiasu. A gust of wind arose, and Chang Yi appeared before Lin Zaiasu, her hair flying wild. A finger jabbed into the eyes of the poisonous lizard man. The creature let out a roar to the sky. Both he and Chang Yi fell, and during the descent, the poisonous lizard man's body rapidly transformed, the dark patterns on his face quickly vanishing, turning into a pale middle-aged man. Chang Yi's poison, was it limited to mere 3 poison bombs? The truly formidable poison was her innate toxin, which the poisonous lizard man could perhaps resist from the bombs, but could never withstand the inherent venom of Chang Yi herself. Chapter 67, Killing with One Punch. The tunnel had completely collapsed. A horizontal platform was exposed inside. On the platform, 3 dark shadows shot up simultaneously, 3 more poisonous lizard men. Whoosh! A white shadow streaked by in an instant. It was Zhao Zhen. His instantaneous movement was the real divine skill that defied the heavens on the battlefield. In the blink of an eye, his dragon scale slashed across a poisonous lizard man's eye. Given his speed and the logic that speed generates force, this dagger thrust should theoretically flip open the man's cranial cap. However, as the dragon scale slashed across, sparks flew, and although one eye of the poisonous lizard man was injured, the other remained intact, with only a scratch left on a scale between the 2 eyes. The poisonous lizard man, severely struck, was furious. He twisted in midair and pounced towards Zhao Zhen. At the same time, another poisonous lizard man also reached Zhao Zhen's right side. Zhao Zhen had the method of instantaneous movement, but he also needed to step on solid ground to leverage it, and right now, he had no solid ground beneath him. On the platform ahead, Lin Zaiasu raised his gun and fired. 3 shots. The 2 poisonous lizard men lunging at Zhao Zhen were blinded in all 3 eyes. Indeed, he aimed for the poisonous lizard men's eyes, which were their weak points since bullets could not penetrate their scale armor but could harm their eyes. Pain shooting through their eyes at the same time caused their direction to deviate, creating a gap in what had been a seamless encirclement. Zhao Zhen stretched out his hand, grabbed the right arm of a poisonous lizard man, and propelled himself up with his force. But the reflexes of the poisonous lizard man were still incredibly fast as he clawed towards Zhao Zhen. In midair, Zhao Zhen shouted, "Damn your grandmother, another waste of over 8 million." He swiftly drew back his hand, and the golden glittering LV belt at his waist pulled out, transforming into a long sword. Swish! With one slash, 2 poisonous lizard men were cleaved into 4 segments. Such a sharp sword. The last poisonous lizard man quickly retreating to the cave wall, and in the next moment, pounced towards Lin Zaiasu at an astonishing speed. Although the poisonous lizard men had undergone genetic transformation, their intellect, which belonged to humans, was not diminished at all. Zhao Zhen had a divine artifact that could break through their scale armor. How could he dare attack Zhao Zhen any longer? His only target now was Lin Zaiasu. The gun in Lin Zaiasu's hand posed no threat to him, at most only to the eyes. Facing Lin Zaiasu directly, it was delusional to think that Lin Zaiasu could shoot his eyes. In midair, Zhao Zhen in free fall saw this and his expression changed. Be careful. If he were on solid ground, employing instantaneous movement, he could theoretically cover the distance of several dozen meters to come to the rescue. But he was in free fall with nothing beneath his feet. He could not perform a rescue. Right when Lin Zaiasu was facing danger moments ago, 3 bullets had saved him. Yet now when Lin Zaiasu was in peril, he couldn't reciprocate the favor. How could young Master Zhao, who picks up the tab for everyone, known worldwide for his generosity and righteousness, tolerate this? Time seemed to move very slowly, yet also seemed to flash by in an instant. The poisonous lizard man was already above Lin Zaiasu. Below, Chang Yi's hair fluttered as she suddenly looked up, her expression changing. 3 feet from the ground, Zhao Zhen's expression also changed. Swishing. The claw of the poisonous lizard man seemed to tear through the deadly silence of the cave wall, reaching towards Lin Zaiasu. At the heart-stopping moment for both Zhao Zhen and Chang Yi, Lin Zaiasu threw a punch. Boom! His fist struck precisely on the head of the poisonous lizard man. The poisonous lizard man flew up high, crossing over the half-broken railing and falling into the hall below. A flash of white, Zhao Zhen crossed 10 meters of space, his hand directing the white belt with golden stripes towards the poisonous lizard man on the ground. The belt did not cut through, not because the golden belt had defects. It was because the poisonous lizard man on the ground, bleeding from his nose and mouth, was already lifeless. Chang Yi lightly touched the point, arriving in front of the poisonous lizard man, her mouth slightly open, an expression of sheer disbelief on her face. Ancient martial arts, penetrating the skin to damage the insides. Zhao Zhen tapped his toe, ascended the 10-meter-high platform and looked Lin Zaiasu up and down. Brother, Xinyu never mentioned this method to me. Indeed, the method Lin Zaiasu used to kill the poisonous lizard man was ancient martial arts. Ancient martial arts belongs to internal martial arts. At higher levels of mastery, even separated by a layer of tofu, one could penetrate the steel underneath. The reverse is also true. Through the toughest armor, one could still penetrate the tofu inside. The skin of the poisonous lizard men was incredibly hard, impervious to bullets. But the internal strength of ancient martial arts, without harming your skin, delivers lethal force straight to the internal organs. The head of the poisonous lizard man struck by him had already turned to smoke. Lin Zaiasu felt the true qi swirling within his right hand, his heart pounding. He finally realized where the advantage of ancient martial arts over genetic masters lay. All kinds of genetic transformations enhance oneself. They are strong in strength, speed, and protection. But ancient martial arts excel in penetrating power. With such an effect, it could practically nullify nearly all defenses of a genetic master. Suddenly, a strange whistle sounded. As the whistle began, a strange noise emerged from a cave on the left. Lin Zaiasu's gaze shifted instantly toward the source of the sound. In the darkness, countless red lights eerily glowed, belonging to a swarm of rats, exceptionally large rats densely packed, almost filling the entire cave. Mutated rats, Xinyu yelled. Are you kidding me, using this tactic against us? For normal people, such a large group of rats would be terrifying, but who are they? Qianlong. Members of Qianlong, clad in dragon armor, even if they lay down and let the rats bite, wouldn't be pierced at all, so why fear the rats? Lin Zaiasu shouted loudly. This isn't an attack with rats, it's an ambush. Someone inside is trying to escape. The rats themselves posed no threat, hence it couldn't be an attack. If it was not an attack, releasing so many rats would only mean one thing. The person in charge of this base was buying time to escape. That was the only possibility Lin Zaiasu thought of through this illogical attack pattern. Chang Yi's gaze turned icy. Makes sense. With a swoosh, she arrived at that cave, extending her fingers, and suddenly 10 streams of light fog shot out. Once the light fog spread, enveloping the entire cave, the red lights looked like snowflakes meeting boiling water. The rats screamed horribly, and in an instant all the rats in the cave lay motionless. The ground was covered with a thick layer. Go! Lin Zaiasu leaped down from the platform and, with Chang Yi, Zhao Zhen, and Xinyu, simultaneously jumped, their toes touching the cave wall, crossing over the dense layer of rat corpses quickly. On the other side was a larger cave. Gunshots. Zhao Zhen swept past, cutting 10 guards in half, and the gunfire silenced. Whoosh, 4 genetic people lunged together, one of whom was Dongzi, who Lin Zaiasu had been tailing all along. With a swoosh, Lin Zaiasu faced Dongzi head-on. Lin Zaiasu, Dongzi's face twisted, his dagger rising, stabbing towards Lin Zaiasu's throat. Lin Zaiasu spun on the ball of his foot, abruptly veering off, as Dongzi charged past. In the moment he passed, Lin Zaiasu's hand struck down, hitting his neck. Dongzi fell face down. The remaining 3 genetic people were intercepted simultaneously by Chang Yi's trio, while 2 other genetic people didn't attack them but hid at the cave entrance instead. As the battle started, they suddenly turned back and charged towards the outside. These were 2 timely men. Alas, they had only taken 3 steps when a dark shadow appeared before them. Thud. Dragon scale flashed. Number 88 held the blood-dripping dragon scale as he came in from outside. After a bloody battle, he had finally killed the poisonous lizard man and followed them, conveniently blocking the genetic people's escape route. Just as Chang Yi was about to subdue another genetic person by touching his forehead, a sudden gust of wind passed by her, loosening her belt with a sharp tug. Chang Yi turned her finger to aim at this suddenly appearing person, but shockingly, it was Lin Zaiasu. Suddenly undoing her belt, "What are you playing at? Aren't you being lewd?" Xinyu's scream rang out next to her ear. "Lin Zaios, do you have any decency left?" In broad daylight, untying Sister Changa's belt. Lin Zaiasu's toes touched the ground, his speed incredibly fast as he burst towards a dark area ahead. Chang Yi followed closely, her speed matching Lin Zaiasu. Ahead was a river. The river was murky and dark, unknown where it led. Lin Zaiasu's hand rose, holding Chang Yi's belt. No, it was not just a belt, it was the dragon rope. Closed, it functioned as a belt. Opened, it became the dragon rope. The mechanism of dragon rope opened, like a tens of meters long serpent, darting into the darkness. Whoosh! A figure was firmly bound by the dragon rope, pulled back along with the rope. Chang Yi's eyes widened. This was the real reason for undoing her belt. He had spotted someone trying to escape and came to catch him. The enemy had already entered the river. Only the dragon rope could capture someone across space. This was an old man in black clothes, his face filled with disbelief, but his hands were tightly bound by the dragon rope, thumping onto the ground, falling face first. "If nothing went wrong, this is the leader of this base," Lin Zaiasu said. Chang Yi reached out, grabbed the old man's hair and pulled him up. The old man looked at her with a smile, his smile full of mockery. "Speak, are you the leader of this ant nest?" The old man laughed loudly, his laughter filled with a desolate undertone. "Not good," Lin Zaiasu's expression darkened. Boom! A light tremor, the old man's laughter stopped abruptly. Blood and brain matter flowed from his nostrils. At the same time, a genetic person fighting against number 88 suddenly collapsed. Zhao Zhen was about to come over, suddenly stopped. He stared at the genetic person falling to the ground, bleeding from the nostrils. This was a genetic person poisoned by long night poison without any internal injuries. "Chip," a serious voice from number 88 came from behind. "Yes." Xinyu shifted forms rapidly, pinpointing in front of them. All genetic people in this base had chips implanted, damn them. They had no intention of leaving us alive. The computers outside have already initiated the self-destruct program. Xinyu, let's see if you can stop it this time. Lin Zaiasu's voice emerged from the darkness behind them.